sleety roads leading to wreck after wreck. Over 2,000 wrecks in 24 hours across 17 states. Virginia alone seeing more than 500 accidents.
On the Florida-Alabama border, a tornado damaged homes and dropped trees on cars. Several homes destroyed by twisters in Mississippi. President Obama is in the early stages of choosing a nominee to replace Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. ABC's Alex Stone with the president in Rancho Mirage, California.
The White House will give no possible names, only to say look at President Obama's previous nominees for not only the Supreme Court, but also lower courts to get an idea of the path he typically goes down while selecting a nominee. We know the White House is reaching out to members of the Senate to try to break down any GOP blockade.
Pope Francis' visit to Mexico takes him today to the epicenter of the drug trade. More from ABC's Jim Ryan.
Smiles and handshakes greeted Pope Francis as he arrived at the Vatican mission in Mexico City. Today, he ventures out into the heart of the country's narcotics production and trafficking region. He visits Michoacan State, where Francis will meet with young people and praise local church leaders who have stood up to government officials considered complicit in Mexico's deadly drug wars. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The World Health Organization says it might be necessary to use genetically modified mosquitoes to wipe out the Zika virus that's been spreading across the Americas. Russia's energy ministry says it's agreed with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Venezuela to freeze oil production at January levels if other producers do the same. This is ABC News.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-613-4810. That's 1-800-613-4810. 1-800-613-4810. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health issuing company and other factors not available in all states.
A top Vatican advisor says bishops have a moral duty to report clergy sex abuse, even if local laws don't say so. ABC's Megan Williams in Rome tells us why the advisor had to make that clear.
Boston Cardinal Sean O'Malley issued a statement saying bishops have a, quote, moral and ethical responsibility to report all cases of suspected rape, molestation, and other abuses to the police, even when local laws don't require it. A week ago, a training document for priests was made public. In it, new priests were told bishops didn't necessarily have to report abuse if local laws didn't call for it. David Clohesi with the sex abuse survivors group SNAP says the Vatican is still not facing the issue.
There have been a plethora of church panels that have had virtually no impact.
Megan Williams, ABC News, Rome.
A prosecutor in Bahrain says 4 American journalists have been released after being charged with illegally assembling with the intent to commit a crime. It's not immediately clear if or when they can leave the island nation. Joan Bennett, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goins, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, you know, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goins explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing.
Right.
And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. So it could be any number of things that are happening. Sure. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event. Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's Ukulele Group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Take control of your money. Start by listening to The Dave Ramsey Show.
See, as long as something is specific and measurable and you give it a time limit, immediately 6th grade math kicks in and you can do the division, long division. Say, I want to make $100,000 this year. Great. How much is that a month? $8,300. Do you sell for a living? If you're on commission, you can divide that out, know exactly what you need to sell in order to make your $2,100 a week, which is $100,000 a year. You need to divide out what it takes to get where you want to go.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Dale Hubbard, and a good Tuesday morning, 6:08 in Sports Notes. Gonzaga Bulldogs getting ready for a couple of WCC contests this week. They play Thursday and Saturday, and if they are the team versus the other team, they are visiting. Yes? Or are they home team? I can't remember.
Team.
So if they're, so Gonzaga versus Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they're at Pacific?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, because they're challenging them,
yeah.
So they're going to go into their home court.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Thursday night game, and then they'll be down even a little farther south towards Santa Clara. On Saturday, we've got both those games for you coming up here later this week. Not a lot of sports in the local region as everybody's taking a deep breath from the weekend that has just gone by, but we are very happy with lots of state qualifiers for the big state wrestling tournament. The MAC Classic will be happening this weekend, and our own Sean Wells will be on site getting video and interviews and all that. By the way, you can catch some of the action from this last weekend's district tournament and some interviews on iFIBER1newsradio.com under sports.
That's right.
Whew, man, okay. What else has been going on? Well, there is a little break in basketball because the pros had their big all-star weekend and scored 5 million points in one game. It was pretty awesome. And then we have to give you a little bit of an update on the Iditarod. I started it all last week. Okay. Alaska musher Hugh Neff has won the 1,600-kilometer Yukon Quest dog sled race Neff finished in Whitehorse around 2:30 yesterday, and so he started in Fairbanks 9 days ago. Wow. 48-year-old took the lead halfway through and pushing last year's winner Brent Sass to second when Sass had trouble with his sled. I don't know what can go wrong with a sled, but whatever it was, cost him. Also, Sounders notes for you. Forward Obafemi Martins did not travel to preseason camp with the Sounders, considering an offer the team is to send him to a team in the Chinese Super League. The 31-year-old has been with the Sounders since 2013, had 15 goals last season. The BBC reporting Sunday that Martins has joined Shanghai Shenhua, number 8th ranked Oregon State, built an early lead, cruised to a 72-53 win over Utah. And Jamie Wisner scored from deep and on slashing drives and tied career highs with 27 points and 4 steals. That was ladies basketball action for you from the Pac-12. And Utah faced little resistance in a win over the Cougs. Cougs are having a tough run of it this season. The Utes 19-7 on overall remain in striking distance for the Pac-12 regular season title. They're only 8-5. That's just how much everybody's beating up on each other in the Pac-12 this year. The Cougs, meanwhile, 9-16 overall, but just 1-12 in the Pac-12. Been a long year for the Cougs. That's sports this time around. Here's Carol Gardner with, I think, a wet forecast.
Good morning, Dale. All right. It's 48, and it is rain showers outside. If you had to drive to work this morning, you probably ran into some rain. The rest of the week will be rain showers and some steady rain. Highs around 50, and overnight lows are going to be dropping into the high 30s. So it's going to get a little bit cooler.
Cooler and drier?
No, just cooler and wetter. We might see almost an inch of rain on Thursday. Almost. Right now it's 48.
All right, 12 past 6. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Tuesday marks the first day that teams can place the franchise or transition tag on prospective free agents. The deadline for clubs to designate franchise or transition players is March 1st. A few notable players eligible include Von Miller, Kirk Cousins, Josh Norman, and Alshon Jeffrey. Soon-to-be free agent Brock Osweiler is getting support from his teammates. Broncos defensive tackle Malik Jackson was a guest on NFL Total Access and said Osweiler is definitely someone who's proven and has been underpaid in his 4 years. The NFL's top draft prospects are now on the clock as they descend on Indianapolis for this year's NFL Scouting Combine. And only NFL Network is there live. Complete coverage of the 2016 NFL Scouting Combine presented by Hyundai starts Friday, February 26th. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
When the temperature starts to drop, it helps to have a legend under the hood. No, not the kind that swings a giant axe and enjoys the camaraderie of oversized cattle. We're talking Napa Legend and Legend Premium Batteries. Buy one today, and you'll get up to a $20 prepaid Visa card by mail. That's $20 back, and the comfort of knowing you're riding along with a real legend. That's Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 2/29/16.
Oh, fresh powder. I'll get the skis.
Ugh, I can't.
Winter nasal congestion. Is it A, cold, B, sinus pressure, C, allergies?
I'm not sure.
For all of the above, the answer is D, Allegra D, a maximum strength decongestant plus a powerful non-drowsy antihistamine for 24 hours of relief. Feel better?
Yep. Feel like racing?
Hey, wait. This winter, the answer is Allegra D. Look for Allegra D at the pharmacy counter. Use as direct.
listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
6:15 on this Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes.
I'm all confused. I'm just discombobulated.
It's hard when you don't get up all the time, and then you have to get up.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to go to bed last night, but I knew I had to. Did you get to see any of the Grammys?
No, I didn't. I heard a little bit about them. I heard a little bit about Adele. Did you see her part?
Yeah, Adele had a little whoopsie. Well, first of all, she came out early and did a snappy little tune. It was a salute to Lionel Richie.
Okay, nice.
And so that was cool. And then she came back to do her big solo deal. And apparently there was a moment into the song where it was just going to be a solo and a little tinkling of the piano. And apparently a microphone that was mounted inside the piano fell.
Oh.
And so anyway, you couldn't hear her and she couldn't hear what was going on, and she hit some sour notes. You never hear Adele hit a sour note. So there was a little bit of that. It wasn't a big thing. It was just a little thing that kind of got blown up afterwards in the, in the rehash of the whole night. The night went really well. Fortunately for the telecast, they did mostly performances and didn't bore you with all the nominated for this, and they got 18 people, and then they picked one. So that was the good news. I mean, it was pretty interesting as far as there was always somebody performing pretty much all the time for 3 hours. I didn't watch the whole thing, but of what I saw, pretty cool. I was laughing because I don't hardly know anybody anymore. Contemporary music, I'm just not tuned in anymore.
Right.
So there was a time in my life where I knew every single artist and every song that they did and all that stuff. And boy, that was 100 years ago. And there are people that are like that now today. And the fans were just into it. And it was, I think, by all accounts, very, very successful Grammys. But I was a little bit lost watching it. I'll be honest with you. I'm just reaching that stage.
Some of the tributes, though, you got, though, right? When they did
the tributes were awesome.
David Bowie tribute, and then they did B.B. King tribute.
Yeah, all those tributes were well done, and they were awesome. Jackson Browne filled in more than admirably for the Glenn Frey tribute for the Eagles. Spot on. Sounded just like the Eagles, and you couldn't even hardly miss the beat there. So, and then I missed the part where Lady Gaga did her tribute, but I did see snippets of it, and her outfit was amazing. And
she doesn't disappoint.
She doesn't disappoint. And then there was Tony Bennett was in the wings there doing stuff, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. LL Cool J is a good host, and he gets people razzed up. So, yeah, all in all, I think it was a pretty good deal. We've got some good guests today. Lots of them, too.
We do. We have a full house today. So in our 7 o'clock hour, Dan Griffey, 35th.
Who?
Dan Griffey.
Oh, I know. I'm just
all right. 35th representative or 35th district representative.
There you go.
Tongue-tied this morning. He'll be in to talk about some of the stuff that he's been doing over in Olympia.
They've been doing stuff.
We'll
stuff. Get to the headlines here in a moment.
Yep. Yeah. Vicki Gonzalez, she'll be in at the end of the 7 o'clock hour. She's going to do Relay for Life. She's going to talk about what.
Yeah, I think she's bringing some sidekicks with her.
Okay.
She usually tries to find some folks to help her. But the team kickoff for Relay for Life is coming up, and so we'll be talking about that.
She's been doing that for quite some time.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
We'll have to ask her how many years exactly when she comes in.
She may not divulge that to us.
She might not. So after the 8 o'clock hour, we have two environmentally sound type of segments. Julie Horowitz, Governor's Policy Advisor for the Shellfish Initiative, will be in to talk about that, what's happening with the shellfish. And Seth Elson from the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center is going to talk about what's going on with the salmon.
Well, there you go.
Which are both
shellfish and salmon, and the Relay for Life, and a little politicking. We got it all this morning.
That's right. Throw it all in the mix.
Holy cow. All right. Well, that's a good way to start. It's a good way to start. We will go, I guess, Dan Griffey's coming in live. He doesn't call. Usually he stops by on his way to Olympia. Now, I don't know. I think they're back in session today.
He could call, but he does stop by. He called, I believe, last week.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. I'm having a wrestling match with my computer this morning, too.
All right, so I'll talk about some of our headlines we have on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new program in Lacey for veteran and entrepreneurs. The Thurston Economic Development Council Center for Business and Innovation announced the establishment of a Veterans Micro Enterprise Program. It's designed to help veterans plan, open, and operate a small business. So if you're a veteran living in the Lacey or Lacey urban growth area, planning to open a small business, you're going to get some great help, free enrollment in a business enterprise startup training series, business plan writing assistance, a peer group and opportunity support, opportunity to apply for a grant up to $26,000. So there's some good stuff happening. We have that on our website under our regional news tab.
Okay, they were busy in Olympia. I'm not sure if they officially took the day. It was whether they were out of the building or not, but they did get a bill passed yesterday that would require harsher penalties for people convicted of felony-level DUI offenses, and it passed the House unanimously. It would make a fourth DUI conviction within 10 years a Class B felony rather than a Class C felony. The difference being a C felony has a maximum of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine or both. Class B, a maximum of 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine or both. So just a bit, kind of they doubled down on that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to your fourth DUI, holy cow.
Yeah.
There's issues there. Usually they don't stop. They just don't care. They just keep driving. So, all right.
Another headline, Tacoma police arrested an armed man who was a passenger in a car that sped away from police and then opened fire and killed the driver. Police spokeswoman Loretta Kuhl said in a statement Monday that they arrested Kenneth Wright on Sunday about 10:30 p.m. He was located in a house, and after officers used a public address system to call him out, he surrendered. He lied about who he was, but he was later identified by his tattoos. Police were looking for Wright in late January. He was a homeless man with 2 outstanding felony warrants for robbery, drugs, and firearm charges. They spotted him in his vehicle, and when they approached the car, the female driver hit the gas and drove away. Officer opened fire. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Wright fled, was not found till just Sunday.
Yeah. On the lam.
Yeah, on the lam.
As they say. Authorities are handing out bottled water to some folks after reports of discolored tap water. This is a story out of Buckley. According to Cairo this morning, officials are testing water samples from Rainier School in Buckley. Early results indicate that the discoloration is caused by manganese, a naturally occurring metal. Rainier Schools Center for Individuals with Developmental Disabilities. The well used by the school is also a source for the city of Buckley, which has about 4,500 residents. Yikes.
Yeah.
So discoloration, a little metallic taste to the water, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's very dangerous, but they're testing it to make sure.
Yeah, they're testing it. And then also in some other possible water news, there's a controversy about the methanol plant that's proposed up for the Port of Tacoma. So there is a study that's going to be a study session set for the port commissioners. So they don't really know, of course, somebody says it's not going to matter, and other people are saying, yes, of course it's going to matter. It's just hard to say. The session for the commissioner's agenda includes request to purchase a truck for cleaning port catch basins and maintaining water quality. So that meeting is set for, I believe, today. But, there's just so many different things. It's a $3.4 billion gas to methanol plant on port property. It's a Chinese-backed Northwest Innovation Works company. But the public has continued to be very concerned. They're against the plant. So, I don't know. Don't know what's going on with that.
We'll find out. All together, 624.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customer signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFiber.tv for more information.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
6:26 on this Tuesday. Dale in for Jeff. Carol Gardner in her stead. And just 1 or 2 days late for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
For gift giving.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this is one that you might want to invest in for next year.
I don't know what you could do with it. Miners unearthed a spectacular 404-carat diamond in Angola.
Say that again. 404-carat diamond. It's a picture on the website, and it is amazing. 7 inches long, and looks to be maybe about 1.5 inches or so thick. Maybe 2 inches thick.
2.7 inches long. This is in...
and nearly 3 ounces.
Yeah. Yeah,
those are centimeters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
huge.
Yeah, it is huge. $14 million.
One of these diamond cutter guys have done this their whole life. They got that magnifying glass on their glasses, and they work in all this. They got that little hammer and chisel to cut. Somebody's gonna be salivating like a madman.
Oh, I know.
All right, break it in half, man, and chink, and look at that. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really pretty. I mean, the raw. Just sitting on the white table, it doesn't look very pretty. When they put it on they probably polish it up a little bit and put it on the black velvet. It looks a lot better.
Oh man, that is really something. That's an amazing. Now, is that the biggest diamond they've ever found?
No, this is the second. Yes, this is the biggest one. I guess it smashes the previous record set for a diamond found in 2007 in Angola, which was only a 217.4 carat. And this is 404, twice as large.
Oh, man.
That is crazy because, they say you can't find any more gold, you can't find any more diamonds, but, they're not quite sure exactly how to even value it. Because, it's not something that they actually do on a...
That's a lot of diamond. My word. All right, the House busy. Passing a bill that supporters say will help increase voter engagement. 55-42 vote yesterday in the House. Chamber passed House Bill 2682 that would automatically register people who are not on the voter rolls but already have or applied for an enhanced driver's license or commercial driver's licenses, both of which require citizenship verification. Those who receive social services that verify citizenship or get health insurance through the state health exchange also would be automatically registered and maybe save a step or two in the process. Lord knows we've got plenty of processes and lots of steps.
Yes, we do.
And stuff. So anything they can do to cut a corner or two and still make sure that these people are citizens when they vote. That's good. All right. We are going to take a break here. Mary Lynn Foster standing by. It's 6:30 already.
Time flies.
Yeah. Good morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goines, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goines explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
Our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Right. And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. So it could be any number of things that are happening. Sure. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event. Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's Ukulele Group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Ames took center stage. Morning there, you. Chuck Severson reporting on sports. Kansas moving up to number 2 in the nation after beating Oklahoma on Saturday. The Jayhawks keeping the momentum going against Oklahoma State.
Selden up the floor, right side. Out front, Perry over to Green. Brandon Green, a ball screen from Perry, and a 3. Good.
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network, Kansas 94-67 winners over the Cowboys. Number 7, Virginia trying to bounce back against NC State after losing over the weekend to Duke.
Correntes uncourts a 3, and he rattles another one through. Tony Bennett pumping his fists. He loves the unselfish play of his team right now, and the 3-pointers are raining down here in Charlottesville.
On the Virginia Sports Network, the Cavaliers roll 73-53. College football news, highly touted quarterback Dylan McCaffrey commits to Michigan. He's the younger brother of Stanford's Christian McCaffrey. This is ABC Sports. Some frozen pond action as the NHL had 7 games Monday night. The Penguins get a goal late in the third to force overtime against the Panthers. But Florida snags the 2 points after winning the skills competition.
Going to the slot. Couple of moves and a save made by Montoya. The Panthers have won it 2-1 in a shootout.
On 560 WQAM, the New York Islanders welcome Detroit to town and hand the Red Wings a drubbing.
Carries it down the wall. Kicks it out to the high slot for Nelson. A Boychuk right point. Shoots. Good save. Howard
rebound. Bailey buries it. Josh Bailey, a power play goal. It's 2-0 New York.
On WRHU, Isles win 4-1. Nothing going right for the Montreal Canadiens. And Arizona hands them a whooping in the desert.
Oscar on the right wing in front to the left of the net. Backhand attempt. They score. Went to his backhand and slid it by the goaltender Condon. The Coyotes continue their offensive assault tonight. It's now 6-2.
On KTAR, Chuck Severson, ABC Sports.
It's about your life and your money. It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
You don't win by accident. So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment, and you form and control your life.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
For iFIBER ONE News Radio and iFIBER1newsradio.com. I'm Dale Hubbard. A good Tuesday morning in sports notes for you this morning. A tough loss to SMU on the road for Gonzaga last week, snapping a 6-game winning streak, and Gonzaga yet to get back into that top 25 and not even sitting atop the West Coast Conference right now. They have a challenge ahead. They've got 4 more games left before the tournament, and that begins this Thursday night, Pacific, at home, and then on Saturday night, St. Mary's at home. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of home cooking for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and then 2 very important games, as St. Mary's is one of those teams that is atop the WCC. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Both games will be on the air 20 minutes before tip-off, so 5:40 on Thursday night and 6:40 on Saturday night, you Gonzaga Bulldog fans. And I know you're out there. Be tuned in to iFIBER ONE News Radio for the very latest. In the meantime, Sean Wells will be out at Matt Classic 28 this weekend in the Tacoma Dome, covering the grapplers that have qualified for state. We've got 1 or 2 alternates as well, and no fewer than 7 wrestlers, guys and gals, both from Shelton, a couple of wrestlers from North Mason. So we'll keep an eye on all of them and see how they do and see what the results we can get for you on Monday, and also posted up over the weekend for you on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. A wet forecast from Ms. Carol Gardner this morning.
Good morning. It's 48, a little bit of rain for your morning drive. The rest of the week is going to be rainy also. Right now it's 48. We're going to have highs around 50s. Overnight lows are going to drop into the high 30s. So we're going to see a little bit of a colder and a little bit of a wetter week. But it is going to just be
When's
rainy.
that cold and wet start? Tomorrow? Is it cold tomorrow, Wednesday?
Yeah, well, 50. They say 54 high Wednesday, and then it drops down to 41, and then it drops down to 37.
You got some
overnight.
serious traveling to do on Wednesday afternoon.
Oh, no, you'll be fine. Well, I haven't looked at the passes. I'll check those next, but I haven't looked at those for you. Right now, pretty just rainy. We might see an inch of rain one of these days, but basically, we're just going to have a rainy, wet, slightly breezy, not too breezy. There was a little bit of breeze yesterday. A week, your typical.
Yeah, there was
Pacific
some
Northwest
gusts
yeah.
once in a while yesterday. Pretty stirring type stuff. Lots of, so the county commissioners meet this morning at 9. A little later on today, Mason Transit's board of directors will be meeting. And also coming up, did you say at 10 o'clock this morning, there's going to be a special event, a groundbreaking ceremony at Pioneer School District. They got that big initiative passed a few years ago after many, many years of failing.
Yes.
And got it passed through, and have now getting ready to break ground on a wonderful new renovation and remodel. Very exciting.
Yes.
And our Jeff Chu will be out there to cover that today.
Yes, it will probably be a little rainy, unfortunately.
Well,
but it might just clear up just at that moment. You never know.
Just right there, right there.
Just might. Right now it's 48.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Carol.
6 now from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios. It's Daybreak. providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
All right, nice to have you along with us this morning. Dale Hubbard in for Jeff Slakey, and then Jeff will be back in his stead tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You'll be relieved. The audience will be happy. Jeff will be anxious to get back. He's been texting and emailing me, and he picked up a couple of silent sensors. You know, we just can't let it go. He just can't give it up all. He's got his phone there, and so anyway, it's always I kind of bemused by all that. Coming up in sports for you at the top of the hour, we're going to state a few arguments as to why, and this is a recurring theme, I say this about this time every year, why the Mariners will be the Major League Baseball's most shocking playoff contender for 2016. Are you ready for that?
Too much pressure, and then they crack.
They don't, listen, you're a pro, all these movements, all these trades, all these new managers, and this and that and the other, it's to win.
Right.
Get with it, Mariners.
I know, but we say it every year, and then every year.
We love them in the spring. It's like we hate them in the fall.
It's like looking for the great pumpkin.
It kind of is.
It just never really
We were licking our chops when Houston got into our division. We go, okay, now we won't be the doormats anymore. And guess what? They whoop up on everybody and end up winning of the division. Holy cow. So every year, the sweethearts of baseball are the Mariners in the springtime. They go, look out for the Mariners. This is their year. Well, maybe this is their year.
It's going to be a very different team this year.
Oh, well,
I mean, a different from the coach to player. So
they made no fewer than 40 roster changes in the offseason. One of the busiest teams in the Hot Stove League is when the owners meet in the winter and they do all the trading, and so it'll be different. Whether this is a formula for success or not, of course, the jury is out.
Yeah, we have to just wait and see.
So, but we'll take a little closer look at all that when we get to sports in the 7 o'clock hour. We were checking some headline news and we do have some good guests coming in. So, coming up in about a half an hour, Dan Griffey will be stopping by studio on his way to Olympia to let us know what he has planned for today and what he's been working on. He's got lots of bills that he's been authoring. So, we'll talk to Dan in about a half an hour.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCord, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE Newsradio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Don't let an empty outbuilding on your land sit idle. Make some money from it. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. Rent it out as a storage facility for anything from cattle to campers, as you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic and from previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
He's done 3 tours and now he's saving his dad's farm. Do you know a farmer veteran like that? We're inviting you to share their story. Successful Farming Magazine and Grasshopper Mowers are teaming up to acknowledge and thank farmer veterans for their service. This new initiative is called From Fighter to Farmer. Enter any veteran farmers you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter to farmer. Explain the veteran's military experience and farming operation, along with the involvement they have in your community. 3 veterans will receive a combination prize package of $5,000 and a vacation to Nashville. One lucky winner will also receive a $10,000 gift certificate to spend at Grasshopper Mowers. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 48 contiguous United States and D.C. 13 years and older. Begins February 1st, 2016 and ends April 30th, 2016. Subject to official rules at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer-rules. Void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Sponsor, Meredith Corporation. From Fighter to Farmer is brought to you by Grasshopper Mowers. Enter any veteran farmer you know in our contest at agriculture.com/fighter-to-farmer.
If you have a building on your land that's sitting empty, make some money by renting it out for storage. People are always looking for places to put things they don't have the room for, such as campers, boats, machinery, and hay. Ann Johans is a farm management extension program specialist at Iowa State University. She says your local extension office can help you determine rental rates or ask around to see what the going rates are in your area. Lease agreements will vary according to the age, condition, size, location, and efficiency of the building being rented.
When you're renting it out, you want to make sure you're covering your ownership costs, and so the owner is going to be the one that's paying for that structure itself. As far as the insurance, and that would be part of their entire acreage, and they're the one that's paying the property tax on that piece of property. When they're looking at what they want to charge, they want to make sure that they're covering those costs in that rental fee.
In general, owners cover the cost for major repairs and insurance coverage for buildings and structures. Tenants provide labor and management and pay the cost of utilities and minor upkeep. Don't rely on a handshake to seal the deal. It's important to have a written lease that specifies the details.
The structure that's being rented and then what it's being used for, so that both parties clearly understand, what they are agreeing to. And then some details on maybe right of entry. What right of entry does the owner have? Do they still need to go in and inspect that property? If there's going to be improvement made or maintenance, which parties need to be responsible for that?
It's also a good idea to check out zoning laws that may vary depending on the building's planned use and location. You'll find more tips for renting out storage and a sample agreement form at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, KMAS.
Or, in my case, talk for a living.
Talk about what?
I'll talk about anything. So here are the headline top stories of the day. Top headlines.
All right.
Hillary Clinton need truth dog. White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary Eric Schultz. Ironclad responsibilities. George W. Jeb has experience. So it strikes me as unusual that Jeb started out his campaign as Jeb. He didn't want the Bush name associated with it. Didn't want anything to do with it. Then all of a sudden his mom was on the trail, and now his brother's walking around with him everywhere and thumping for him.
Right.
And so that's interesting to see how that
is interesting.
I think it's called panic.
Well, did they just think he was going to waltz in and win? I mean, yeah, because of his name, basically.
And he's got a lot of financial backing.
Yeah.
So I think they did, in fact, think he'd waltz in and win. And that's not happening.
No, not right now.
Not that there's a lot of substance ahead of him, but it's just not happening.
True. And there's still some time left, unfortunately.
Almost a year. I'm worn out already.
I know.
All right. Antonin Scalia is the right pronunciation. I apologize to whoever I offended yesterday when we were going off the air for mispronouncing the late judge's name, but it's not a name that I talk about very often.
Right.
Probably, maybe never, except for now. And so he passed away. That was one of the headline stories, and there's, of course, going to be a big to-do about his replacement, to be sure. And so those are just some of the things that are happening on the national stage. Here, on the fluffier side of life was the Grammy Awards last night, 58th annual Grammy Awards, celebrating the music industry, and a lot of awards garnered by a lot of the same people.
Yep. And you don't know the song Uptown Funk? People did a lot of dancing to it. It was, very popular.
Very popular song, best song of the year.
Record of the year. Mark Ronson.
So what's the difference between the record of the year and the album of the year? Is a record just one single?
Yeah, it's a single.
Why do they call it the single of the year?
Adele. Well, then they got Song of the Year.
Yeah. Record of the year, song of the year.
Song of the record of, well, maybe. I don't know, other than Uptown Funk's really long.
Well,
I don't know. Song of the year maybe not as long.
Takes a long time to get Uptown.
That's true. It's a great song, though. So, record of the year. Okay. Do not know why the difference is.
Can you give us a little something from it? Or?
No, I can do that when I'm off air.
Okay.
It's a fun song to dance to, though. And of course, album of the year, 1989, Taylor Swift. Best new artist, Meghan Trainor. She's really, really fun. I mean, it's basically.
She's got a magnificent voice. I did catch her on last night. She was there with her parents. That made it nice. She's a nice girl.
She is a nice girl. And, Taylor Swift, she is just...
Taking them all.
Year after year.
She might not even be 25. We're not sure, but she seems almost like a grizzled veteran up there anymore.
Oh, I know.
And she is just still kind of brand new. She's only 15 when all this stuff started happening to her.
Was she? Yeah. Yeah, she was probably only 50. She still looks, 15.
Oh, yeah. So,
26. Okay, so she's made it over a quarter of a century.
She's too old for me. Let's see. What else? What else? Other categories? Any other categories that you want to? No? Is that about it?
Well, okay. So let's sort of just go through R&B performance. See, I don't know who these people are. The Weeknd. Everybody's like, well, how do you not know who these are?
I saw the Weeknd's performance.
Yeah, how was that?
He's got a very unusual hairdo.
Okay, what about his voice?
I don't know. I was stuck on his hair.
Well, in the 50s when they had that duck do, that was an unusual.
I know they're all.
And your parents were like,
generation,
"That's an unusual hairstyle."
The Beatles haircut was unusual at this time. So yes.
But if you weren't paying attention to his hair, how did his voice sound?
He was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he had a very good voice, and is really attractive. A man, good-looking man.
Besides the hair.
If he just fixed his hair a little bit differently, he'd have girls lined up all the way up and down.
He probably already does.
I'm sure he does.
How about Alabama Shakes? Did you hear them?
I didn't hear that one. No, missed that.
Yeah, well, I did hear. I mean, Lady Gaga. They said she did an excellent tribute to David Bowie, so I will have to listen to that later.
Yeah, she is gifted. She gets it. She knows when it's time to take it to the next level, and she always seems to answer the bell. So,
right.
Gotta like her. And she's always got a little bit of an unusual hairdo as well. So, Jerry said, how come Taylor Swift was wearing a wig last night? And I didn't think she was. She has kind of a bob haircut now.
I don't know if it's a haircut or if it's a wig.
Yeah, I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Well, when you're a rock star, you got to change your appearance constantly.
Change your hair with your shoes. Right?
Yeah, you just pick out, what color and what color, pink, blue, green.
Exactly. And in musical history, which we got to put it all in perspective, right? This was the day that the Beatles flew to India to study with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Oh, did you practice that?
That was on this date, 1968. And I'm not sure that John and George made it all the way back from that visit ever. Just saying. So that was kind of what happened in musical notes. Now,
yeah, well, 1971, Johnny Cash recorded The Man in Black.
Yes, big deal. And then he was forever known as The Man in Black.
Yes. He was.
And Last Days of Frank and Jesse James, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, all part of the gang there.
Yeah, NBC TV movie.
Man. And what did it say there about Jerry Lee Lewis?
Surrendered to federal authorities to answer charges of income tax evasion.
But later acquitted.
He was later acquitted.
I don't know what that means. By the way, 1959, I know way ahead of your time, Carol, but on this very day, Fidel Castro became premier of Cuba. Still is, though not in a very active role. His brother calls the shots for the most part. He was sworn in and he said, I am not a communist.
1959.
Dick Nixon was in the audience. Says, I'm not a crook. Let's get together.
Some other better news. 1968, nation's first 911 emergency telephone system was inaugurated in Haleyville, Alabama.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And now you can, and some places, use your text.
What's the number for 911?
I'll look that up for you.
And okay, so Joan Crawford's memorabilia was auctioned off.
Mm-hmm.
Her wigs.
Wow.
60 pounds of false eyelashes.
Lord.
I'm not kidding. And lots of pumps.
Huh.
Tons of pumps. 80 grand was all.
Wow.
All Joan Crawford's memorabilia was
Wow,
worth.
that's amazing.
Probably a little disappointing.
Yeah.
I would suspect. And that's kind of some of the highlights there. Oh.
Yeah, one big one that we might as well mention since we mention it every year. 1994.
Yeah. Tanya and Nancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they ran into each other in Norway before having to pose at a team photo. Very uncomfortable time because that was like about 4 years after the knee incident.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, that was a weird thing. I remember seeing, that was one of those, it's almost like stands out as much as the USA winning the hockey Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
You hear the scream and she's crying and she's holding her knee and
It's a
Gillooly. Jeff Gillooly.
a very unfortunate incident.
Hits her with a hammer or something. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when things get a lot of control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how important is it? Well, apparently it was very important. All right. So those were some of the events that has happened on the 16th day of February. And, of course, February, historically the shortest month of the year, still is, but not as short as normal, as it is only 29 days long instead of 28.
Right. 29.
Very good. Is that Lady Gaga's?
Yes. I was
Dealy Bob?
looking at some of her costume that she wore. And
yeah.
So it's some special effects and some strange costuming. She did a great David
Ziggy
Bowie.
Stardust.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
And
she did
a
the
lot.
songs.
She worked it out pretty good. Got a great response from the audience, and those are kind of the electric moments of music when that stuff happens, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were talking that it might be too much to have all the tributes, but you didn't find that.
No,
added to it.
because they're tributes,
Right.
and it's your last chance to celebrate. 6:57, Old Farmer's Almanac, and the news is on the way. Daybreak with Dale and Carol this morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. The market's opening higher this morning as oil prices stabilize. Over the weekend, the world's largest oil producers agreed to freeze output, but traders were hoping they would help give crude a boost by cutting supplies. Also helping, a rally in Chinese stocks, turning in their best day in more than 3 months. The Dow's up 122 points, the Nasdaq higher by 67. The U.S. Empire Manufacturing Index for February came in at a worse than expected reading, but better than January's number. And in just a few moments from now, the National Association of Home Builders survey will be out. Books are making a comeback. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that bookstore sales rose last year, marking the first increase in the industry since 2007. Publishers Weekly showing a similar trend, noting ebook sales were down, but print sales were up. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Call 877-319-6988. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Call 877-319-6988. Programming starting as little as $29.99, plus access to thousands of movies and TV shows. Stream to your TV, smartphone, or tablet. Call 877-319-6988. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get Dish today.
It's fun to splurge on nice things, but it's better to get those same nice things at a great value, like a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle. the best certified pre-owned value in America, and backed by a limited warranty. Let Honda Certified Pre-Owned take you farther. Visit HondaCertified.com and search for local inventory. Honda, start something special. Based on 2015 Vincentric Best CPO Value in America Awards analysis, applicable to 2011 and 2015 Honda model years. See dealer for limited warranty.
Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call. Weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Joan Bennett. On the campaign trail, the Nevada Democratic caucuses are just days away, and Hillary Clinton's doing everything she can to avoid another upset from rival Bernie Sanders. ABC's Cecilia Vega spoke with the Clinton camp.
They're bracing for a very tight race in Nevada. A victory all depends on turnout, but today the focus is on wooing a constituency that she has been trying hard to win, African-American voters. Clinton meets today with members of the NAACP and Al Sharpton, other community leaders here in New York City.
Former President George W. Bush joining his brother Jeb on the campaign trail in South Carolina, trying to woo voters before the Republican primary there on Saturday. ABC's Tom Yamas in Charleston.
The crowd definitely loved President Bush, and Jeb came on right after, and they both really gave a two-pronged attack to Donald Trump. President Bush didn't mention Trump by name, but he said in his experience, the loudest person in the room usually is not the smartest. And then Jeb Bush saying that Donald Trump was completely out of line for attacking President Bush over 9/11. Donald Trump has said that though Bush may have kept us safe after 9/11, he was president when 9/11 happened, and there was a lack of vigilance there.
The death of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has already created a firestorm in Washington over a possible successor. Republicans vowing to run out the clock. ABC's Kenneth Moten.
Senate Republicans, many who are up for re-election, are falling in line behind their Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, while Minority Leader Harry Reid blasted Republicans in a Washington Post op-ed. Reid called no Supreme Court confirmations during an election year absurd and a slippery slope.
Ice-glazed roads and at least 3 traffic deaths in Virginia prompted the federal government to modify the workday for 300,000 federal employees. Derek Fair nearly wiped out in Pennsylvania.
I'm trying not to hit the guy in front of me, so I just kind of, just try to turn into the skid, and then I just kind of came off the road.
This is ABC News.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 33.
Hall of Fame catcher Johnny Bench for Blue Emu.
I've used Blue Emu products for 10 years. They all have deep penetrating emu oil, but now for those hard to reach places, there's Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray, made with emu oil and the same active ingredient as the leading pain relief cream. Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray helps with all my joint pains and muscle aches. Blue Emu Continuous Pain Relief Spray. Take it from me, it works fast and you won't stink.
Available at Walmart, Rite Aid, and stores everywhere.
A new report from the World Health Organization says countries with outbreaks of Zika virus should consider new approaches to dealing with mosquitoes. More from ABC's Tom Rivers at the Foreign Desk.
The report highlights the lack of understanding at this stage, but it suggests that new tools for mosquito control, including the possibility of genetically modified mosquitoes, could be important in fighting the disease. WHO says the principal Zika-carrying mosquito has adapted to the urban environment, and international travel may have helped it spread geographically. The females are the ones which bite, and it seems they prefer human blood to other mammals. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
The Agriculture Department wants retailers that accept food stamps to start stocking more healthy food. New rules are designed to ensure that the 46 million Americans who use food stamps have better access to fruits, veggies, dairy, meats, and bread. Wall Street, the Dow's up 115. Joan Bennett, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goins, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goins explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
Our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Right. And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. So it could be any number of things that are happening. Sure. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event. Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's ukulele group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
If you could wave a wand and change one thing about your house, what would it be?
Hold that thought, but forget the wand. Home improvement isn't magic.
If you're a do-it-yourselfer, we can show you the tricks of the trade for remodeling and repair.
And how to not get fooled when you're choosing and directing a contractor. Hi, I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Phone in your fix-up questions here this weekend.
On the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. We're going to save you money. Montesano has one of the lowest sales tax rates in the state, plus our costs are way less than other dealers. And right now, we're offering up to 90 days with no payments on any new or used vehicles with proof of your tax refund. They all come with lifetime oil changes to boot. Stop by and visit WhitneyChev.com to check out our inventory.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Worth the drive to Whitney's, just down the road to Whitney.
For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Dale Hubbard. A good Tuesday at 7:07. Gonzaga basketball coming your way this week on the radio as the Zags are home for 2, their final homestand of this regular season. They'll be hosting the University of Pacific on Thursday night, 5:40 pregame, 6 o'clock tip. And then Saturday night, big matchup with the first place St. Mary's Gales against the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and we'll have that game for you Saturday beginning at 6:40 with the pregame, and a 7 o'clock tip-off is in store. The beauty of sport is its unpredictability, right? It's funny because even though we can all agree that sport is the best in unscripted reality television, our natural tendency is to predict. We think we know who may compete this baseball season simply because we can look at rosters and compare them. So every season, there are teams that shock the baseball world by contending for the postseason. Consider for a moment the Seattle Mariners. Maybe one of those out-of-nowhere teams this season. Now, before you go all crazy about such a claim, remember this. To pick the big surprises for the upcoming season, there first has to be a lot of reasons not to. Okay? This organization has a new general manager, Jerry Dipoto, who likely told the franchise he would need time to turn the team into a competitor. He took the job in September. The hourglass has hardly started, let alone getting empty. He needs to infuse talent into Seattle's minor league system, which ranked 28th in Baseball America's latest rankings. The team, though, it underwent a large overhaul of its roster in the offseason, didn't really make any major splash in free agency. Now, all that's working against the Mariners this season on the record, there were a couple of under-the-radar moves. Maybe they'll improve from last year's 10-game below 500 record. Predictions right now giving Seattle 84 wins. 8 wins better than last year, but enough to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Mariners ranked 5th in the Major League Baseball with 198 home runs, but 21st with 656 runs scored. They couldn't get on base. They couldn't get little hits. They couldn't get the walks. And they got picked off. All those things. They only hit 249 as a team last year, and that was only 0.06 of a percentage point better than the worst team in baseball, and 22nd overall on their on-base percentage. So, lots of work to do for the Mariners. And Robinson Cano was down year last year. Maybe he'll rebound this year.
Mm-hmm. He's got a great smile.
Cano, don't you know? So anyway, Mariner baseball all season long right here in the South Sound on iFIBER ONE News Radio. So stay tuned. We begin spring training and the Cactus League play in March, just weeks from right now. Carol Gardner, you can predict the weather.
I can talk about the weather. I don't know if I'm really predicting it. It sort of does what it wants most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. But what I get from my weather people, it's 48 right now. It's overcast with some light rain mist becoming showers at times later today. High of 54. The rest of the week, more of the same. Rain showers, high around 50. Right now it's 48, but you asked about the past, Dale.
I did.
And if you're driving tomorrow,
yes,
chance of rain and snow in the morning, rain and snow in the afternoon. Temperatures about 30s, mid-30s to low 40s.
Oh, that's okay.
So I think you'll be
fine.
okay, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right now it's 48.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people.
The dog back there?
Yeah. That's where she's supposed to be. We got the mics live and hot, and we're getting the cameras ready to go, and we got to wake up our representative, Mr. Griffey. But good morning. Good morning. All right, so just settle down. We'll be right back with you, sir, in just a moment.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniker that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends, family, and coworkers talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Thank goodness somebody's presenting Daybreak. All right, we are privileged to have in studio with us here on this Tuesday morning, as he does throughout most of the session when he's healthy enough to make it in.
Yes. Good morning. How are you guys?
Representative Dan Griffey. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm, yesterday I was going to say 90%, and I thought I was on the upswing of this illness, but now I'm going to have to say I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 80.
He took a turn for the worse.
I did. It's terrible. I'm not liking this. Come on. I want to get better.
You will.
Yes. So, Olympia talk, huh?
Yes, sir.
We had, there's some days that start out where every presentation makes you want to cry, and yesterday was one of those. Jermaine Kerr stopped by. It was so nice to meet that guy. He is such a neat man. And then I had presented to me a miniature United States flag, and it was from this cutest little girl, just little teeny doll girl. And she said, I want you to have this in memory of my daddy. He died for our country.
Oh, man.
And so we honored a bunch of kids. And boy, I don't know how they did it. They didn't cry. They kept a big smile on all of us. We're all crying.
Yeah.
But, so we honored Jermaine Kerr. And, we honored the sacrifice we know these kids made. By losing their fathers. All of these were fathers that were lost overseas. And it was heartbreaker. But that flag will never leave my desk.
Oh, man. How cool.
It means a lot.
Yeah. Those are emotional moments that don't make the headlines, unfortunately.
No.
But are sure memorable for you.
They are. Yeah. I like I said, how doesn't it break your heart? The little girl says, I want you to remember my daddy.
Wow.
I will never forget her father.
No kidding. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Man. Was that early in the day?
It was first thing we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we started at 9 yesterday because the speaker gave us the weekend off. So he said, I'm going to give you the weekend off, then you need to work harder during the rest of this week. Because Wednesday is House bill cutoff, and we go back to committee and start hearing the Senate bills.
Right.
So
it's Senate cutoff also.
Yeah.
And then you guys switch.
Yeah.
You throw the bills into each other's, and then you start looking at them.
Yep. Yes.
How many do you have to look at, or do you only look at the ones in your committee?
Oh, well, so yeah. When we bring it to the floor, I look at every bill, and when we flip flop them, I first look at my committee bills that were from the Senate, and then. When we go back to the floor, we do it all over again. A lot of them having to do with the same topic. There's a lot of bills that have companion bills. Mm-hmm. So if you want to double your chance of getting your bill passed, you'll write a companion bill.
That makes sense. Sure. Yeah. Can you ballpark how many bills?
Boy, I wish I could right now. I would have to say we're in the neighborhood of 200 bills we've considered this year.
Yeah.
There a lot of bills died. All of my bills died. I'm disappointed, but some of them I have to say maybe, we're just not ready for those ideas yet, and I need to try again at a different manner. The one that broke my heart was removing a statutory limitation on rape. I don't know. I can't understand why that we couldn't get that done this year, but I will bring it back next year, and I won't stop until we get that. Anyway.
What is surviving that's got your attention right now that you're looking forward to seeing what the Senate version might be?
Well, there's a couple bills. I'm working really heavily with Department of Natural Resources to try to improve our firefighting capabilities, and there's a couple ideas I have on that. I don't know if we get those all done this year, but they're asking for a little bit more permanent firefighting capabilities. A lot of people don't know this, but we have a very small core of DNR workers that we expand for the wild season. Mm-hmm. Problem with that is you kind of lose some of the institutional knowledge, And I think it's probably a good idea that DNR has some more folks that are, those what we call them task force leaders or strike team leaders that carry the department's knowledge out there in wildfire fighting. And those efforts are still ongoing, and I think we can make a difference. I'm part of what's called the Wildfire Caucus. It's a bunch of legislators that got together and decided that, we're going to do something to help DNR modernize, improve, and be leaner, meaner, and more able to react to firefighters.
And more prepared for the next season.
Yeah.
Now, did you not get some federal dollars? Did we not get some federal dollars for this next fire season from the president? Wasn't that like about a month or so ago?
We got money to help pay off what we already spent.
Okay.
The IOU money, but we didn't really get a lot of money. We wait on those. There has to be a declaration of disaster. And when the governor declares disaster, then that we can apply to the feds for some help.
Okay. All right. So now, what would be your schedule for today then?
We're on the floor considering House bills all day, and probably way into the night.
Yeah.
And we'll also be on the floor all day Wednesday. And Wednesday, we're power through all the bills. And then first thing Thursday morning, we'll start considering Senate bills and are in committee.
And the session ends at the end of the month, a couple of weeks, or
March 11th.
March 11th. So
yeah.
a little bit
The
less
clock
than 4
is
weeks.
ticking down.
It really is, and of course, imperative that everybody gets in and out during a regular session.
It's very imperative. I think I wish I controlled everything, but just for the psyche of our constituents, that you guys can do this. I think it's important that we get out on time.
Yeah.
I think this last year that we had plenty of time because the bills, the budget that we proposed at cutoff is the budget we adopted.
Isn't that
so? We had all those months of argument, and we ended up with the same product.
Remember that next time.
Absolutely, I remember it. If I was the all powerful one, we would have ended on time and we would have adopted that budget. It was a good budget that wisely spent $4 billion. That the good people of Washington State worked hard and gave us in excess of the biennial budgets previous.
Yeah. Well, there'll be some, and now as we switch here on in a couple of days, then a lot of these bills and reactions to them will be making the news headlines. And so next Tuesday at this time, we'll have some hot topics to talk about. Some Senate versions of bills that the House went, oh, no, come on, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
And then vice versa as well.
Yep.
So it should be a pretty fun week for you.
We had a little bit of fireworks on the floor about a bill that really got me fired up. There was a bill that was custom tailored for Spokane County. And what it said is, effective 2018, after redistricting, you shall increase your county commission to 5 members. And you shall elect them in a district only. So instead of the county like we do here, you run your primary in a district and then you run the whole county wide. Well, Representative Sam Hunt put an amendment on there at the last second that would include Thurston County. Well,
what?
Yeah. So I said, well, time out. I represent Thurston County. Thurston County didn't have an ability to come and testify if you wanted to fundamentally change their form of government.
Right.
I had to protest. So I stood up and said, this is ridiculous. Maybe they want to go to 5-member board, but
maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't. And so, and then we were able to show we have this new online ability to testify that nobody from Thurston County testified on the bill. One person from Spokane County testified on the bill. That's it. And so we're like, time out, folks. This is ridiculous. We won the vote but the speaker held the vote open, which never happens. It's usually a vote. You know, there's a bell that goes on, ding, and then about a second later, ding, we're all done.
Yeah.
They held it open for 4 minutes while they went over there and what we call it whipped their members into shape to bring the bill over. The good news by our argument, and you could see the reluctance of their members, even though the bill made it, it will not make it out of the Senate. So hard fought, make sure, you know, Thurston County gets a chance to weigh in on whether they want to change.
Surely somebody from Thurston County was aware of this, right?
Oh, maybe.
Wow.
But I represent a good portion of Thurston County, and JT Wilcox also represents Drew, Tim. Yeah, none of us were asked. We didn't have a chance to go out to our constituency and say, do you want to change your form of government? So that was fun.
Yeah.
And we were very effectual on that. And I was glad to be in that argument.
Okay, good. Well, you did something good, by golly.
I do good stuff every day.
Paying attention. That's what we want.
Paying attention. That's really the key. That's the secret. Dan Griffey, head on over there, pace yourself. Get that cold out of your system.
I'm going to do my best.
And we look forward to talking to you again next Tuesday. And best of luck this next week.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Always a challenge for these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Session, man. And
lots of information to handle.
That's a pretty good story,
Yes.
though. That's one of those sneaky Pete deals that's going through there. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break at 7:25. And we'll come right back and give you the lineup for the rest of the morning. We're just beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg this morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Nonprofits post your upcoming events on iFIBER1newsradio.com. Shelton Elks holds a bingo night every Thursday. Play begins at 6 p.m. Food and beverage is available. Open to the public at 741 Southeast Craig Road. Doors open at 5 p.m. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:27 here on Daybreak. Vicki Gonzalez and company.
Yes.
Scheduled for 7:45 this morning, and talking about teams for the Relay for Life and the big team kickoff.
Right.
Soiree. The rally. Rally it is. And I think it's coming up this, let me get this right. I think it's coming up Saturday.
She will let us know for sure.
I'm almost positive it's Saturday.
All right.
So, yeah, but she'll be letting us know.
Vicky's coming in, wants to buy you coffee. What kind of coffee do you want?
Ooh. Mocha. Carol?
I'm good. Thank you.
You're good?
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
All right. Always nice. Always bringing something in.
Always something.
Trying
Always.
to get on the good side, and she does.
And it works.
And it works.
We can be bribed.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. All right. A Washington City passed a new law to address unsafe shelters that cropped up during the housing shortage. This story comes out of the Othello region of our state. And the city administrator there, Wade Ferris, said the city has several structures that don't meet code, but officials didn't want to shut everything down and put people out on the street. He said some of the rooms are essentially just one-room shacks, not to be confused with these cute little, what do they call them?
Tiny homes.
Tiny homes now, which are very unique and practical.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a place in our future.
I think so too. I mean, do you really need all that stuff?
No, that's, and that's the conversation everybody has.
Right.
You don't need all that room.
No.
You don't need all that stuff. And especially if you're in a stage in life where you're downsizing, maybe you've just come off of a divorce or you've recently been widowed or whatever, and you don't need all the stuff.
Or you're just tired of going home and cleaning that huge house.
Or you get a day off and all you're doing is cleaning, which sucks.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of merit, and you know, and you've got your own unique little personal space.
Yeah.
I think it's catching on. I think it's going to go a long ways. And you can put a lot of homes in a small area.
Yes, you can.
They're converting parking lots into these little home neighborhoods where they can put 6 or 8 homes or something like that. These little tiny houses. Pretty cool, interesting thing.
I think it's it's totally different from what people would have thought of a few years ago.
Right. Okay. 7:30.
Change.
Moving forward. Moving somewhere.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goins, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, you know, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goins explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
Our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Right. And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. You know, so it could be any number of things that are happening there. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event. Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's Ukulele Group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things: dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now. Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful. Roger that.
Get charged up with Mountain Dew Kickstart, now in 4 energizing new flavors like Midnight Grape. It all starts with a kick.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000 set aside for an emergency fund, you wouldn't need an emergency credit card, right?
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Games took center stage. Morning there, you. Chuck Severson reporting on sports. Kansas moving up to number 2 in the nation after beating Oklahoma on Saturday. The Jayhawks keeping the momentum going against Oklahoma State.
Selling up the floor, right side. Out front, Perry over to Green. Brandon Green, a ball screen from Perry. And a three. Good.
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network, Kansas 94-67 winners over the Cowboys. Number 7, Virginia trying to bounce back against NC State after losing over the weekend to Duke.
Correntes uncourts a three, and he rattles another one through. Tony Bennett pumping his fists. He loves the unselfish play of his team right now, and the three-pointers are raining down here in Charlottesville.
On the Virginia Sports Network, the Cavaliers roll 73-53. College football news, highly touted quarterback Dylan McCaffrey commits to Michigan. He's the younger brother of Stanford's Christian McCaffrey. This is ABC Sports. Some frozen pond action as the NHL had 7 games Monday night. The Penguins get a goal late in the third to force overtime against the Panthers. But Florida snags the 2 points after winning the skills competition.
Going to the slot. Couple of moves and a save made by Montoya. And the Panthers have won it 2-1 in a shootout.
On 560 WQAM, the New York Islanders welcome Detroit to town and hand the Red Wings a drubbing.
Carries it down the wall. Kicks it out to the high slot for Nelson. A Boychuk right point. Shoots. Good save. Howard rebound. Bailey buries it. Josh Bailey, a power play goal. It's 2-0 New York.
On WRHU, Isles win 4-1. Nothing going right for the Montreal Canadiens. And Arizona hands them a whooping in the desert.
Oscar on the right wing in front to the left of that backhand attempt. They score! Went to his backhand and slid it by the goaltender Condon. The Coyotes continue their offensive assault tonight. It's now 6-2.
On KTAR, Chuck Severson, ABC Sports.
For iFIBER ONE News Radio, I'm Dale Hubbard. A good Tuesday morning, 7:36 in the AM. 2 people familiar with the situation, but they're not called the situation. There is somebody called the situation. It's another story for another time. Says Seattle Storm have re-signed Sue Bird. Good news for you Storm fans out there. Multi-year deal. On condition of anonymity, the people spoke to the Associated Press because no announcement had been made. Bird has spent her entire career with the Storm since she was drafted back in 2002. She averaged 10.3 points and 5.4 assists last season. Only played in 27 games, helped the team win the WNBA championships, though, in 2004 and again in 2010. Storm have the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft. Tells you how good they did last year. When you have the number 1 pick in the draft, you're the worst team in the league. Anyway, they're expected to select UConn star Breanna Stewart. And it would be the 2nd consecutive season Seattle had the number 1 selection. They last year got Jewel Lloyd, who went on to win Rookie of the Year honors. And so you got Jewel Lloyd, and then maybe get this Breanna Stewart out of UConn, number 1 team. They're like 64 wins in a row and counting. Crazy. And then you got Sue Bird teaching them the ropes. Storm could be back in a big way this year. Very good. We have another pretty good basketball team around the region. It's the Gonzaga Bulldogs men's basketball team, and they are in action. West Coast Conference play this week at home in Spokane. Thursday night, Zags host the University of Pacific. We'll begin coverage at 5:40, tip-off set for 6, and then Saturday night, big matchup with St. Mary's, and 6:40 is the pregame. The tip-off is scheduled for 7. A reminder, our sports director, Sean Wells, covering MAT Classic 28 this weekend, Friday and Saturday. He'll be filing video and audio reports and written reports on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com all weekend long. wet weekend. But before we get to the weekend, we've got a few weekdays. Some of you just starting your work week today. Carol Gardner with the weather.
Good morning. It's 48. Overcast with some light rain, mist. It's going to be coming rain showers later throughout the day. We're going to have a high of 54. The rest of the week, more of the same. Rain showers, high around 50. Right now it's 48. And if you maybe a sneak peek toward the weekend, rain, chance of rain.
That's a sneak peek right there.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Carol.
48.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Okay, 7:39, almost 7:40 in the morning here on Daybreak. Dale Hubbard in for Jeff Slakey. He'll be back tomorrow.
He will be back tomorrow.
Carol Gardner will be here tomorrow as well.
I should be here tomorrow as well. I've been lucky. I haven't got the knock on wood.
Yeah, whatever Griffey's got.
I know some other people that have had it.
Coughing and hacking. He's a trooper, though.
Yeah, he is a trooper. So just another headline that's coming out of the Olympia. The House has passed a bill that supporters say will help increase voter engagement. The measure would automatically register people who aren't on the voter rolls already, but have or are applying for an enhanced driver's license or commercial driver's license.
Okay.
Both require citizenship verification. So sort of a win-win, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Why not save that extra step and have them automatically registered to vote right there on the spot as, why wouldn't they want? That doesn't mean that they have to vote, but we encourage them to.
Right, but they will be registered and it'll be ready to go. So
yeah, I like that.
And we'll be finding out next week what bills actually make it, what bills don't make it,
and
soon.
Things like that. And a story that we covered earlier this morning, Tacoma police have now arrested an armed man who was a passenger in a car that sped away from police and then opened fire and killed the driver. Police say that they arrested Kenneth Wright late Sunday. If officers used a PA system to call him out of a house, and he surrendered. Wright was wanted on 2 outstanding felony warrants for robbery, drugs, and firearm charges. So he is behind bars now. Unfortunately, there was a fatality involved in all that, but sometimes those circumstances happen given the company you keep. So we are at 7:42, so we're going to take a quick pause here. We're going to jump out to go grab our guests, and we'll be talking Relay for Life 2016, a new theme, a new enthusiasm. I don't know how they ramp it up every year, but they do.
They do.
It's crazy. Vicky Gonzalez on the way next here on Daybreak with Dale and Carol this morning.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Having a new baby this year? If you just got the exciting news, Mountain View Women's Health has some more good news for you. The best prenatal and delivery care you could ask for is close to home and family. Mountain View Women's Health and the Birth Center at Mason General Hospital offer excellent care to make your prenatal and birth experience wonderful. Among the many great features is the personalized birthing plan that includes your choice of pain management from epidural to natural birth. For more information, call Mountain View Women's Health at 426-0955.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
Understanding your finances is a key to a strong financial future. Don't be the one who gets left behind. Visit feedthepig.org for tools and tips to get started on the path to financial stability. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
7:43 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, KMS. And the lovely Vicki Gonzalez is in studio with us this morning. Hi, Vicki.
Good morning.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm awesome, and thank you for the mocha. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for the offer. I appreciate it.
Just to clear the controversy, I would have allowed you on the air without the bribe.
I know.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay, so the Shelton kickoff, Relay for Life Shelton, and you do this every year, and so this is the team kickoff thing,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us about that, and when it is, and where it is, and what it is.
Okay, well, it's Monday, February 22nd at 5:30 in the evening, 5:30 to 6:30 at the Timberland Library.
Okay, in Shelton.
In Shelton.
Okay.
And we, it's just a kickoff to get everybody excited about our upcoming Relay for Life, which is scheduled for June 24th and 25th this year.
And what's our theme this year?
This year, it's a Dr. Seuss theme. So it's cancer not here, not there, not anywhere.
Oh, I like that.
I know, it's great.
Yes.
All the teams are going to pick different Dr. Seuss books and things like that to do their 10 sites.
Well, you're knocking down 3-4 generations there with Dr. Seuss.
Love it.
He bridges all of those.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it should be really fun. We've got goals, of course, what we for teams and things like that. This year, our goal for our teams is we'd like to get 50 teams on the track.
Give us a little comparison. How many teams did you have
last year? We had 40.
Okay.
Last year, the Shelton Relay raised about $76,000 for the American Cancer Society.
Yeah.
This year, our goal is 80,000. And this year, our goal too for our committee is to get more survivors involved at a team level as well as at the track. So our goal for the track is to get at least 200 survivors there for the opening ceremony and things like that. So the kickoff is to get everybody ready for to meet all those
Get
goals.
all of our minds going the right direction.
Exactly,
and
right.
all that stuff.
Right. We've got a gentleman coming as our guest speaker that night for the kickoff, and he's very well known in the Relay for Life community. He's from Auburn. He's a friend of mine from Auburn. J.D. Drollinger is his name.
Uh-huh.
He'll be there as our guest speaker, and we also have an incentive for our teams this year to get signed up early. We have a $250 for 4 teams. We're going to draw at the kickoff for 4 different teams. If you're registered online, and you also have 5 participants registered on your team, by the kickoff or at kickoff, you can register as well. That $250 will go towards your fundraising.
Towards your
effort.
fundraising total.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
How exciting. And you're going to do that for 4 teams?
Right. So we have $1,000 to give away that night to 4 different teams. So, and someone from your team needs to be present, of course, at the kickoff.
Sure.
So
Now, let's talk a little bit about the team. So people that are listening now who are thinking about doing this, I know there's no hard number, but what would be a normal size team?
Usually they're between 8 to 10 people
All right.
per team. And it's a relay. Our event is 24 hours. So we run it from Friday at 4 in the afternoon till 4 on Saturday. The goal is to have at least one person on your team be on the track at all times. We're not really hard pressed on that, but that's the idea. To have a relay, hand off your baton to the next teammate.
And is there an entry fee or a team fee to participate?
No.
Okay.
No. We ask that each team member raise at least $100. We have great Relay for Life t-shirts and things like that they get for that. We have teams. There's teams like our credit union team. We raise money all year round for our team there, and we have lots of teams that are same way. We have 12 teams registered right now for this year's event. So
well, and you're almost halfway there.
That's right. We are.
How long have you been involved in this? Because we see you every year.
This is our 17th year.
Wow.
In Shelton, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for Relay for Life Shelton, period? And you've been involved since day one.
Right. We I was a team captain to start with. Yeah. And
look
then,
at you now.
And then look at me now. And then I went to the wrong meeting and became a committee member And then I've been on the committee ever
Isn't
since.
that how it happens?
Next year. Yeah.
But you do such a great job, though. I mean, we just are really always impressed.
It's a great event. It's a good way to get the community involved. It's one of the bigger community events here in Shelton. So
I know we're early in the going here, but do you got any of the walks events penciled in? Like, is there any bands signed up for late at night, or your DJ going to be there and all that? So
yep, Paul Barber is already signed up, ready to go. Christian Bode will be there. Our
to keep people
master of
awake
ceremonies that night or that weekend. The varmints are always on board with us.
Those were the three people I was thinking about.
Absolutely,
so,
they're all back. Awesome. Yeah, so we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the relay this year, and lots of fun kids events.
Yeah.
So we're praying for good weather.
Not here, not there, not anywhere.
Right. Yep, that's it.
Dr. Seuss thing.
Yes, that's it.
And probably teams being encouraged to dress up in Dr. Seuss characters and wear their wild colors and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
That'll be neat. Yeah. Also now at the track itself, out on the field, people set up their own tents and their own team headquarters kind of a thing. You could do a Dr. Seuss house or
absolutely.
Cat in the Hat kind of a thing or something like that, couldn't you?
Yep, we have contests for best tent site, best dressed.
What's the Mr. or the Miss?
Mr. Relay is on.
Mr. Relay.
That's on Friday night as well. Yeah.
So
that's always fun.
A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so this team kickoff is going to be Monday. Not to get lost in all this, and that'll be starting at about 5:30.
At 5:30 up at the library, and it's in that first room when you first come in the front door there on your right. You'll be able to hear us.
Contact you if you are getting a team together but can't make it on Monday night. Would that be the best thing to do?
Absolutely.
426-1601 and extension 3142 over at Peninsula Credit Union, and V. Gonzalez at pcfcu.org.
That's right.
Wow. All right. Well, looks like you are up and ready to go. You got anything else for Vicki? Or
nope. It just sounds great. We'll have this on the website later today, all the contact information.
Perfect.
If you don't remember it listening right now. And good luck.
Thank you
top
so
of
much.
mind for everybody. Absolutely.
Thanks
and then, of course, come on. So this starts our relationship for 2016
we'll be back.
Now. You'll be back. Give us the next event.
I'll bring all my friends with me next time.
Spaghetti feed, the next whatever's going on.
Yeah, we have a chowder cook-off again.
Cook-off and a lot of great fun events now until June. And the dates again for this year's relay, June
24th and 25th.
Okay. All right. Very good. Vicki Gonzalez, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good. We will be back with more Daybreak here in just a matter of moments. Dale Hubbard in for Jeff Slakey, Carol Gardner, Vicki Gonzalez off to work. It's your Monday.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. We'll have fun.
Thanks.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
If you believe that good things come in small packages, this is your month. Our February preview today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Monday, February 1st, the 32nd day of the year. Lisa Marie Presley celebrates a birthday, and Frank Sinatra was recording his first session with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra on this day in 1940. By the way, he got the job. Our shortest month is not quite so short this year. It's a year divisible by 4, so one more day gets tacked onto February this year. Groundhogs, presidents, and romance all take the spotlight. But don't forget the other worthy observances. It's Black History Month, Wild Bird Feeding Month, and Potato Lovers Month. The flower of February is the violet, and if you were born in February, your birthstone is the amethyst. Wearing one is said to give you courage and prevent insomnia. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. You can always learn more about February online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Get the camera back on me. 7:53, Tuesday, Daybreak. Dale and Carol this morning. And a bill that would require harsher penalties for people convicted of felony-level DUI offenses has unanimously passed the House. It would make a fourth DUI conviction within 10 years Class B felony rather than a Class C felony, essentially doubling down, going from a 5-year maximum prison sentence and or a $10,000 fine to a Class B with 10 years in prison and $20,000 fine or both. So that has been passed by the folks in the legislature. They did work yesterday. They had the weekend off, but they worked yesterday.
Yep, they did work yesterday.
All right. What else is
authorities say a hiker died in Kitsap County over the holiday weekend after he fell into Big Beef Creek. The Kitsap County Sheriff's Office says 18-year-old was hiking with 3 friends Monday afternoon, and he slipped on partially submerged rocks and fell into a fast-moving water. The Big Beef Creek was swelled by storm water. Unfortunately, the Lucas Earl Weaver of Seebeck was swept downstream to a waterfall where he became trapped, and he was wearing fishing waders, which quickly filled with water and pulled him under.
Yeah.
A sheriff's detective happened to be in the area and was able to call in help, but it took about 45 minutes to find him in the water.
Yeah, that is a tough story.
That
Another
is a tough
one
story.
here out of West Yellowstone, Montana. Gallatin County authorities there say a Seattle area man has died in a snowmobile crash near West Yellowstone. Sheriff's Office reports 53-year-old Edward Eldridge of Duval had been snowmobiling with a group when he crashed into a tree last Thursday.
A bill that would require harsher penalties for people convicted of felony-level DUI offenses passed the House.
Yes.
Is that the one that you just read? Yeah. Well, we get mixed up here.
It's all right.
Woo. Okay. Authorities handing out bottled water to some Washington State residents after reports of discolored tap water.
Yes.
Cairo TV reports officials are testing water samples from Rainier School in Buckley. Early results indicate the discoloration is caused by manganese, a naturally occurring metal. Rainier School is a center for individuals with developmental disabilities. The well is also used by the source for the city of Buckley, which has about 4,500 residents.
And we have a ceremony, groundbreaking ceremony coming up this morning at 10 a.m. for the Pioneer School District, right?
Yes, we do.
And so we will have our own Jeff Chu out to cover the groundbreaking ceremony this morning and have that posted for you here a little later on today on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. A county commissioners meeting is going on this morning and will run throughout the morning hours. Also, a little later on today, there is the board of directors meeting of Mason Transit Authority. So a lot of important meetings. I don't know if the city meets today or not, or did they meet last week? I lose track. So many meetings.
There are so many meetings and so little time.
Yes, and you can't be everywhere all the time, but we try.
True.
We try as well as much as we can. Citizen advisory members are needed. I'm looking
Yes,
over your shoulder.
they are? Okay. For Mason Conservation District, they are looking for people to help count, I believe it's for salmon recovery. So if you want to get involved with that, we have that information on our odds and ends, where not quite just an announcement, but it's more than just a public announcement. But one thing that I wanted to bring up was we had a phone call the other day about somebody who was wondering about that cold case story that was in the news.
Yes.
That we had in the news. So we do have that information on our website. You can basically Google sheriff's cold case. So she said she might have, she was wondering how she could get in contact with the sheriff's office. So that information is on our website. And it's about the 2 cold cases that happened in, there was 2 suspicious deaths in 1988 and 1999.
Yes. And two cold case.
Mm-hmm.
2 cold cases.
Yes.
In one story last week.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Trying to, clean up the books.
Yeah.
Get some resolution to those stories. And I did hear stories about one of those mysterious deaths when I first arrived here in 2002. So, this month is my anniversary of moving to Mason County.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
14 years.
14 years. Well, there you go.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Almost a local.
Almost, and Vicky's been doing the 17 years.
She's been doing the relay for
17 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, when you're having fun,
I know.
time just flies right on by.
It certainly does.
Right out the window.
Speaking of time, 7:59.
Yes. And
at the iFIBER ONE News Radio studio.
Yes, it is. It's all those things. And we'll be breaking away for news coming your way from ABC. And, of course, we have Mary Lynn Foster with our regional newscast. And we'll be back with sports, weather, and some special guests coming into the studio in the 8 o'clock hour. All about the environment, coming up about shellfish and another segment about salmon. So stick around and hang in there with us for the 8 o'clock hour on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAS Shelton.
I'm Joan Bennett. Hazardous driving conditions in the D.C. area prompted the federal government today to give 300,000 federal employees other options this workday. A late start, unscheduled leave, or telecommuting. ABC's Kenneth Moten in Washington.
It's a slippery, icy mess in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. The federal government operating on a 3-hour delay after that winter storm dumped roughly 4 inches of snow on the area. Crews were out and about battling black ice. By the start of the morning rush, more than 500 accidents were reported in Virginia. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
At least 3 traffic-related deaths. A series of anti-terror raids in Brussels, says ABC's Tom Rivers at the Foreign Desk.
Belgian authorities are quick to point out these latest raids are not linked to the deadly attacks in Paris in November. But at least 10 individuals have been detained in the swoop. Computer material and cell phones have been seized. Police say those being questioned may be connected to an ISIS recruiting network.
The Eagles of Death Metal return to Paris tonight for their first solo concert since the terror attack in which 89 people were killed at the Bataclan concert hall where they were playing. A suspected terrorist goes on trial in Phoenix today. ABC's Cooper Rummel at the courthouse.
Jury selection begins today in what's believed to be the first time the U.S. has put a person on trial for ISIS-related terrorism charges. Abdul Malik Abdul Karim is accused of helping to plan an attack on a Draw Muhammad contest in Garland, Texas. Defense attorneys hope to weed out potential jurors today with negative feelings about Muslims. Prosecutors say the Phoenix man was radicalized and wanted to travel to the Middle East and fight alongside militants. Cooper Rummel, ABC News, Phoenix.
Pope Francis being greeted by thousands in Morelia, Mexico. 3 Americans who were abducted in Baghdad last month have been freed, handed over to U.S. diplomats. This is ABC News.
QL1, this is Control. Ground crew is secure. Over. Copy that, Control. Rockets powering up. Over. QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. Copy that, QL1. That is fast, like rocket fast. Do you think that's why they named it Rocket Mortgage? Over. Affirmative, Control. That's probably why they named it Rocket Mortgage. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Roger that, QL1. So technically speaking, you could get a Rocket Mortgage at rocket speed from inside an actual rocket? Please just press the button, Control. Over. Copy that, QL1. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket. Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Why Taylor Swift's Grammy acceptance speech was seen as a diss aimed at Kanye West. ABC's Jason Nathanson.
Taylor Swift performed at the Grammys and won the big prize, Album of the Year, but she also had a message for Kanye West in this part of her speech.
There are going to be people along the way who will try to undercut your success or take credit for your accomplishments.
The quote-unquote people she's talking about is Kanye, after he released a song last week claiming he made her famous, a reference to that other award show speech where he interrupted her 6 years ago.
But if you just focus on the work and you don't let those people sidetrack you.
Swift called her speech a message to young women. She's the first woman ever to have won Album of the Year twice. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Kendrick Lamar has earned 5 Grammys. Record of the year was Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars, Best New Artist Meghan Trainor, and Song of the Year was Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. Joan Bennett, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goins, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goins explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
Our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Right. And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. So it could be any number of things that are happening. Sure. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event. Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's ukulele group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wilcher behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Here's a way for you to green up that heating bill of yours. That is, save energy and save greenbacks. Go to archmechanical.com, learn about heat pumps and zone heating. We're talking about heating and cooling equipment and systems designed to heat or cool your home. Listen, if you don't use all the rooms in your home, why heat or cool them? Check out archmechanical.com and learn more. And green up. archmechanical.com.
For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, I'm Dale Hubbard, 8:08. On your Tuesday morning, congratulations going out to 5 Shelton wrestlers, 2 wrestlers from North Mason, all heading for MAP Classic 28. Alan Mankey, Gable Lacey, Colton Paller, all qualifying for the MAT Classic, as are Maddie Meacham and Quinn Lacey. For North Mason, Colton Harmon and Nico Ramirez have also advanced to MAT Classic 28. Congratulations to those wrestlers, and we'll be following them every step of the way Friday and Saturday. Gonzaga basketball, the final homestand of the regular season for the Bulldogs, fighting their way to get back to top 25 status. They've had a bumpy road this year. They've had a few challenges. They've lost 6 games. Doesn't sound like much unless you're the Gonzaga Bulldogs, who are more used to losing maybe 2 games in a whole year and winning 30. So pretty good team, having a little problem with consistency at the guard position. Their bigs are playing really well. Sabonis and Wilcher, no problem there. They always put up the points. They get the rebounds, and they are doing their job on the inside quite nicely. But for some reason, the guards have been good at times, excellent, and then very inconsistent. They just kind of go away sometimes. And so some work to do, some fine-tuning. Mark Few is a great coach and looking for his 18th straight. The Bulldogs are looking for their 18th straight appearance in the NCAA's, the Big Dance. All right, 2 home games. Thursday night, hosting University of Pacific. We'll have that game for you on the air at 5:40. And then Saturday night, St. Mary's will be coming to Spokane. And it'll be an education for the St. Mary's team to be in Spokane on a Saturday night. Hopefully they get into the kennel and they get bit. We'll begin our coverage 6:40 with the tip-off set for 7. That's a quick check on your sports. Here's Carol Gardner with the weather forecast.
Right now it's 46, overcast, and we'll see some rain showers at times today. We'll reach a high of 54. The rest of the week, more the same. Rain showers, highs around 50. Right now it's 46. I didn't even let Dale get a drink of his coffee.
You get a sip of coffee? It blasted right through that forecast.
Oh, we're doing it quick. We got lots of guests coming on.
Here we go.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
All right, coming up out in the lobby waiting to come on the air is Julie Horowitz. She is Governor Inslee's policy advisor on shellfish and the Washington Shellfish Initiative, which is already through phase 1 and has begun phase 2 as of January. And we'll talk to Julie about that. And if we're lucky, Steve Bloomfield will be in studio with us as well, who is a shellfish mover and shaker here around Mason County.
He is.
You know, he doesn't move and shake a lot, but when he does, you just talk about shellfish and he gets all quivery or something like that.
Well, it's big business around
I
here.
give him a lot of props and respect, and then I say something stupid like
Yeah, well.
What's going on there?
I don't know.
Seth Elson will be in studio with us a little later on before we bust out the door. And again, the topic is salmon, because he's from the Northwest Salmon Center in Belfair. And so we look forward to our visits with Seth. He'll be back in studio with us, and we'll be talking to him in just a little while as well. So we're going to be all environmental. We're going to get all environmental on you.
All right.
Here coming up. And there's a new Hood Canal Steelhead project that is in place. And we'll be talking with Seth about that particular thing. Does that sound good?
It sounds great.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, well, we can take a break here and go get our guests.
Okay. Or
guest, singular, whichever the case might be, and return here in just 1 minute as Daybreak continues on a Tuesday morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Satisfy your need for speed this month at Lucky Eagle Casino.
Enter our Pedal to the Metal giveaway February 1st through 26th, and you could win thousands in cash or a new Dodge Challenger.
We'll have drawings every Friday for prizes ranging from $100 in free play to $2,000 in cash.
Then on February 26th, one lucky finalist will win a new Dodge Challenger from Rainier Dodge.
Lucky Eagle Casino and Hotel, I-5 to exit 88, Rochester, Washington. Details at luckyeagle.com.
Where you belong.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been publicly released and funded the Arab Spring, where they get the students, everybody out the street. But then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup. And then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
14 minutes past 8 o'clock here on this Tuesday morning. We want to welcome to the studio Julie Horwitz. Hi, Julie.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we are wonderful. Thank you for coming in. You are the governor's policy advisor on shellfish and the State Shellfish Initiative.
That's right.
Previously with the Aquatic Rehabilitation Program Manager, the Hood Canal Coordinating Council from 2010 to 2014, efforts to establish a program of maintaining open shellfish growing areas and opening closed areas. And when were you here last to visit with us?
Gosh, that must have been at least 6 months ago.
Okay.
Don't remember
right.
exactly.
And your sidekick, Steve, was with you at the time.
That's right. That's right.
He's abandoned us this morning.
Unfortunately.
And I know he's sitting out there listening somewhere, perhaps in the parking lot.
I think just in the lobby.
Oh, perhaps in the lobby. Okay, very good. But you've already undertaken phase 1 of the Shellfish Initiative for us. And the listeners, give us a real quick overview of what this initiative is about.
Yeah, thank you. So just to step back a little bit, I mean, why do we even have a shellfish initiative here in Washington State? And I think folks here in Mason County know this better than most, but shellfish are really important to Washington State, right? We grow more of them than anywhere else in the country. We're, whether it's Oyster Fest in Shelton or folks going out to the coast to dig razor clams, that's a big part of our culture. And certainly the tribes here have been harvesting them for thousands of years. So, it's a big part of Washington. And the initiative was started back in 2011. NOAA, the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration, started a national shellfish initiative. And actually, Washington was the first state to come on board with a state shellfish initiative that was started by Governor Gregoire. So there was a lot done over the last 4 years, and we wanted to keep that going.
So hence the phase 2.
Exactly.
What is your target for phase 2? What do you want, other than continuing what you started in phase 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so some of the things we accomplished in phase 1, we opened up a whole bunch of shellfish growing areas, including here in Oakland Bay was one of the biggest upgrades done, by local folks here in Mason County to improve the water quality.
I was just and it really paid off big didividends, did it not? I mean, there's
Absolutely.
a longer harvesting season now for you guys, and part of that was a co-effort with the city helping with drainage.
Yeah.
And all that works together.
It all works together because it helps the economy, right? I mean, in the end, it helps the community of cleaner water. Then you end up with a stronger shellfish industry, stronger economy in that way. So it kind of helps all around. And that's really the goal of the initiative, is to connect those pieces. So the governor launched phase 2 in January here. And really the focus there is there's 7 goals, but some of the main ones are working on improving water quality so we can open up more shellfish beds, working on ocean acidification issues so that we can continue to understand how to address those better, working on improving the permitting process for aquaculture so we have a process that works well for folks who are trying to start shellfish farms or expand their farms, and really try to expand native shellfish restoration, work on education. There's a whole bunch that's wrapped up in the second phase of the initiative.
Plenty of work to do still.
Lots of work to do.
The acidification topic, is there a hard line answer to the origin of this? Do we still know what's causing all the acidification?
It's we do. We know that because there's more carbon dioxide coming from the air that's being absorbed into the water, that the water is becoming more acidic, and that then makes it harder for organisms that grow shells to be able to form their shells. It affects other organisms in other ways. We're seeing it early here on the West Coast and in Washington State because of the way the ocean currents flow. We have this upwelling that brings up deeper water that's more acidified. And so we're seeing some of the effects here in Puget Sound on the Washington coast, in some ways earlier than they're seeing them on the East Coast or other places, although they're also starting to see it and looking at it in Maine, Maryland, other states as well.
What types of steps would a person a shellfish grower do? Of course, you want to stop that from happening, but meanwhile, is this part of the initiative to help them figure out what to do?
It is, actually. So Washington has a Marine Resource Advisory Council that works on ocean acidification, and there's shellfish growers who are part of that, working along with state agencies, nonprofit groups, whole range of folks. And some of the things that have been done so far is installing monitoring equipment in hatcheries and shellfish hatcheries so they can tell what the water is and make adjustments. And that's the case, for several hatcheries around Puget Sound and on the coast. They're looking at, okay, we're having water coming in that's more acidic. What, can we change the water or wait to pull it in? Really being able to, see what's going on more clearly, whereas before they weren't as sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to cut down on the acid level or the acidification yet? Is there?
So, overall, right, the more we reduce the carbon dioxide that we put into the atmosphere, right, that is part of the process. But then beyond that, it's really looking at how do we mitigate for those problems. So part of it might be buffering the water in shellfish hatcheries or, in natural environments, right? Those shellfish are less lucky in that sense, right? They don't have somebody protecting their water for them. So what can we do? So we're looking at ways of sort of buffering natural waters. If you plant more seagrasses, does it help them? Or if you, what sort of changes can we make in localized area to help, protect organisms in
the
their
environment
habitat
itself?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's quite a challenge.
It is. Yeah.
Overall health of the shellfish industry, though, is robust right now, is good.
I think, overall in Washington State, there's a strong shellfish industry. We're still the largest in the nation. And, certainly there's things to work on, whether it's water quality or issues with, pests and other problems, and improving the permitting structure. But overall, we have a robust shellfish industry in this state.
Very good. Is there anything we can do as local stewards of living in this area to than cut down carbon monoxide? Anything we can do on the shorelines or in the water itself if we live along salt water?
Sure. Well, a couple things, getting your septic system checked regularly to make sure that's functioning well, and making sure that there's not runoff going into the water from, your lawn fertilizer or other things like that. And also just celebrating, we're going to have a Washington Shellfish Week coming up in June.
Oh.
So celebrating that with us is a great way to get involved.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Do you have a hard date for that?
That's going to be June 4th through 11th. And it's going to be, around Puget Sound. There's going to be different events and things like that. Hopefully we'll have more updates on that.
So everybody will be aware of it and be able to partake in some form of it, right?
Exactly. That's the goal.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I see that on one of your goals, educating the next generation about shellfish. So are you in the schools? Are you going into the schools? To teach? Not you personally, but a program is already happening, or?
Yeah, so the initiative brings together a lot of different organizations, agencies, it's nonprofits, state agencies, federal, lots of different partners. And there's formal education, K through 12, that's part of it, as well as informal education out here, folks doing programs in their community. And so on the K through 12 side, there's the Pacific Education Institute and other programs where they actually are engaging. I think there's a program here in Mason County where they're engaging with young folks in the school to teach them more about the shellfish resources around their community and learning about what's happening in the environment.
Is there volunteer opportunities regarding the shellfish business, and people can help out maybe in all these processes?
Yeah, I think Gosh, I'd have to get back to you on more specifics, but there's certainly organizations doing, beach cleanups and programs in the community to teach people more about shellfish resources. There's a lot of native shellfish restoration projects that are going on. So certainly, and I'm happy to share a list of organizations. Washington Sea Grant is a great one to connect with.
Okay.
They do a lot of programs. Puget Sound Restoration Fund. So they're all doing a lot of shellfish related projects and efforts where folks can get engaged as well.
Okay, because there's a big population of ready, willing, and able volunteers around our parts, and so
absolutely,
this sounds like an intriguing project to be involved in.
It's a great opportunity.
Anything else that you need to share with us here this morning? At this moment in time?
I think that's it. We're excited about the Washington Shellfish Initiative, and it's great to get a chance to talk with you about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're to be applauded to be involved in that, and phase 2 is underway. Let's chart the progress of phase 2. Have you come back and visit again in about 6 months and get an update. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely, that'd be great.
We appreciate it so much, Julie.
Yeah.
Horowitz.
That's right.
Am I close?
Horowitz, yes.
Horowitz, okay.
Yes.
From the Governor's Advisory Board on a shellfish industry. That's very good, and thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's 8:24 right now at KMS and iFIBER ONE News Radio. We will take a quick pause here, come back, set the stage for our final half hour here on this Tuesday morning. Seth Olson from the Pacific Northwest Salmon Enhancement Center will be in a little while to talk about the salmon situation.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Say, what's for lunch?
Breakfast.
No, what's for lunch?
Oh, yeah, breakfast.
Breakfast for lunch?
Yep.
Then what's for dinner?
Breakfast is.
I thought you said breakfast was for lunch.
Oh, I totally did.
But now you're saying breakfast is for dinner.
Oh, yeah, I am.
So, wait, is lunch for breakfast?
No, breakfast is for breakfast. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, which includes the Egg McMuffin, hot cakes, and hash browns, anytime is delicious breakfast time.
Man, I'm heading to McDonald's. Have a good afternoon.
Don't you mean good morning?
I do now.
McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location. Introducing McDonald's Signature Crafted Recipes. We're talking bold sandwiches featuring authentic ingredients.
What?
You know it, like the guacamole made with Haas avocados in the Pico guacamole recipe.
Wow.
Barbecue sauce made with Vidalia onions in the sweet barbecue bacon recipe.
Nice.
And bacon with maple seasoning in the maple bacon Dijon recipe.
Amazing.
Try them on chicken or beef.
I want to try them all.
It's a new way to enjoy McDonald's. Create your signature crafted sandwich today at participating McDonald's.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
You need an automatic camera changer thing. What happened to the stick deal? I like that. Was pretty.
That was annoying.
That was annoying?
Yes.
But it was a lot easier than jumping up and down, right?
Yeah, but it was sort of.
Of course,
you saw this big hand come up.
Carol's doing her morning burn.
Calisthenics?
Yeah.
Morning burn. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jumping around, moving that camera like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Live and in color, Technicolor maybe. HD for sure.
Something like that.
You can always go to iFiber1newsradio.com, click the Daybreak page, and there we are.
There we are, live.
Living, you got kind of a very colorful top this morning.
Black and white, very colorful.
Very colorful. In living color, again.
In living color.
There it is, see? And so there's all that. 8:27 right now. As mentioned, Seth Elson from the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center, he'll be in just a little while. We'll talk about the Hood Canal Steelhead project that he's involved in. And so these are all very good topics, and I always enjoy talking about the shellfish and the salmon, and we didn't touch on the topic of gooey ducks while she was in here, also a shellfish.
Yes.
And the Fighting Gooey Ducks of Evergreen State College.
I know.
So all that, missed the opportunity there. But we will put Julie back on the air in late May to set the stage for, it sounds like a big week-long celebration of our shellfish. And we should be very thankful for that industry around.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just usually just take it for granted. Because it's just everywhere around us, you know.
Exactly right.
And when you talk to somebody, you know, you go visit in the Midwest or somewhere else, and it's so different for them. But you're like, oh, real, you know, you don't even realize what's happening. So with all our environmental concerns and people paying more attention, getting the kids educated that want to, be involved in it.
Yes.
Sort of bringing it back to the forefront, which is really where it should be.
Yep, absolutely. And things that we can do, your septics, get them checked, make sure they're functioning properly. And, we've had folks from the health department in to talk about that for different reasons, but it's all for good reasons. So there's so many environmental impacts. When you live in a beautiful place like this, just about everything you do has an impact on the environment. And to preserve and to continue where we live, we need to be a little conscientious about all that.
Right.
For sure. Headline news?
Headline news. Let's see. I won't repeat what I...
Well, go right ahead.
Let's see. What is going on? Well, one thing I think is interesting is the House passed the bill that supporters say will help increase voter engagement. The measure would automatically register people who aren't on the voter rolls but already have or are applying for an enhanced driver's license or commercial driver's license.
Correct.
Both require citizenship verification, so you can not worry that, people aren't a citizen if they've applied for it and they're already registered.
Yeah. And then boom, all of a sudden now you're a registered voter, and that's one less step that you have to take, and one less piece of paper and legislation that has to be, processed through.
Yes.
Very good. That will essentially be a cost-cutting thing.
And it looks like today the stock market is in.
The stock market is in and on. And we are on the air this morning. Who are we speaking with today?
You have Miss Karen today.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing fine. Happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday to you as well. Stand by here, Karen. We're going to get you on the air. In fact, right now, if you want to go ahead and throw us the opening stock market reports. Now, it finished with a flourish on Friday. Did that continue this morning?
Yes, U.S. stocks are higher to start the week, catching up with gains in global equities Monday, while weakness in crude oil tempers the early advance. On the economic front, factory activity shrank in the New York region for the 7th straight month in February, though measures of new orders and shipments edged higher from very low levels. In merger activity, electronic security services provider ADT announced it has agreed to be acquired by a private equity firm, Apollo Global Management, for approximately $7 billion. U.S. bond prices are lower with strength in equities. So far this morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is consumer discretionary, while the worst performing sector is energy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 62 points at 16,036. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is up 16 points at 1,880, and the NASDAQ Composite Index is up 44 points at 4,382. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 303 million shares being traded, and advancers are outnumbering decliners by a roughly 5-2 margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $5.92 to $1,215.28. The spot price of silver is up 2 cents to $15.36, and crude oil prices are down 47 cents to $28.97. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.63%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.76%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is up $7.28, Costco is down 41 cents, Boeing is up $2.89, Starbucks is up 43 cents, and Microsoft is up 30 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton, and if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. New transgender bathroom rules brought demonstrators from both sides of the issue to a rally at the state capitol yesterday. Lawmakers decided last week that a policy that allows transgender people in Washington to use restrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity will remain in place. Opponents wanted the rule repealed, fearing it gives predators easier access to restrooms and locker rooms. Supporters say the rule prevents prejudice toward transgender people. Steve Goines, Community Development Director for the City of Shelton, talked with Daybreak about the abatement program the city is currently undertaking to clean up the number of homes in disrepair.
In the past few years, there's been an increase in the number of properties that have just been poorly managed or not managed at all. And the city's tried to get more proactive in ways to address that. And, there's a spectrum there of sorts. Some people are simply maybe throwing a few bags of trash in the yard, and other people have let their house go for years, and it becomes a attractive nuisance, becomes unsafe.
Goines explained the process of dealing with a problem property.
Our first approach, we try to just let people know there's a concern and give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Right. And in most cases, that does happen. But when it becomes apparent that the property owner or the responsible party is not going to deal with, that's when we take these more severe approaches. And part of that depends on the integrity of the building, what your approach is. Some buildings are just in need of kind of a makeover and some cleanup. Other buildings have the roof is failing. Maybe there's windows out. It's getting black mold, and the floors are failing. So it could be any number of things that are happening. Sure. So in those severe cases, we usually give people sort of one last chance to get things right. We're not looking to demolish your property and then lien your property, but if that's the only recourse we have, we'll take it.
There's a list of 23 houses the city, lending institutions, or other private homeowners have raised since 2014 in Shelton. Of that, the city has demolished 5 homes through enforcement of city building codes. Shelton SAD is preparing for their upcoming Relay for Life fundraising event, Eat for a Good Cause, February 20th at the Shelton High School Students Against Destructive Decisions Spaghetti Feed and Silent Auction. The fundraiser starts at 5:30 p.m. Saturday at the Shelton High School Student Union Building. Dinner music will be performed by the Shelton High School Band and Darrell White's ukulele group. A $10 donation is recommended. Jerry Apple, student advisor for Shelton High SAD, who teaches traffic safety and driver education, says Shelton SAD members for the past 30 years will be recognized. For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730. Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
But they run this hoax. It's the law. No, there is no law. And they all engage in this big conspiracy because they think it's the right thing to do. And then once it starts killing people, they can never admit, oh my gosh, this is a eugenics program. This is a mass public testing program. No. There's no admissions of that. It's just make fun of anybody that talks about it and say that we're going to make everybody sick. That's all over the news now. You're going to make me sick. You take a vaccine.
Games took center stage. Morning there, you. Chuck Severson reporting on sports. Kansas moving up to number 2 in the nation after beating Oklahoma on Saturday. The Jayhawks keeping the momentum going against Oklahoma State.
Selden up the floor, right side. Out front, Perry over to Green. Brandon Green, a ball screen from Perry, and a 3. Good.
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network, Kansas 94-67 winners over the Cowboys. Number 7, Virginia trying to bounce back against NC State after losing over the weekend to Duke.
Correntes uncourts a 3, and he rattles another one through. Tony Bennett pumping his fists. He loves the unselfish play of his team right now, and the 3-pointers are raining down here in Charlottesville.
On the Virginia Sports Network, the Cavaliers roll 73-53. College football news, highly touted quarterback Dylan McCaffrey commits to Michigan. He's the younger brother of Stanford's Christian McCaffrey. This is ABC Sports. Some frozen pond action as the NHL had 7 games Monday night. The Penguins get a goal late in the third to force overtime against the Panthers. But Florida snags the 2 points after winning the skills competition.
Going to the slot. Couple of moves and a save made by Montoya. And the Panthers have won it 2-1 in a
shootout.
On 560 WQAM, the New York Islanders welcome Detroit to town and hand the Red Wings a drubbing.
Carries it down the wall, kicks it out to the high slot for Nelson. A Boychuk, right point, shoots, good save. Howard, rebound, Bailey buries it. Josh Bailey, a power play goal. It's 2-0 New York.
On WRHU, Isles win 4-1. Nothing going right for the Montreal Canadiens. And Arizona hands them a whooping in the desert.
Oscar on the right wing in front to the left of that backhand attempt. They score! Went to his backhand and slid it by the goaltender Condon. The Coyotes continue their offensive assault tonight. It's now 6-2.
On KTAR, Chuck Severson, ABC Sports.
For iFIBER ONE Newsradio, I'm Dale Hubbard. It is time for a quick check on sports, 8:38 in the morning. And people familiar with the situation say the Seattle Storm have re-signed Sue Bird to a multi-year deal. The people spoke to AP on condition of anonymity. And no official announcement yet from the Seattle Storm, but all indications are that she being Sue Bird, has signed up. You know, she's been with the Storm her entire career, drafted number 1 back in 2002, helped the Storm to the WNBA championship in 2004, and again in 2010. The Storm, though, had a horrible season last year. They were in last place, even with the number 1 draft pick from last year, who was Jewel Lloyd, who got her feet wet now. She gets an understanding of what the pros are like as opposed to college. It's a step up. So she's playing really well. She got Rookie of the Year last year, and so she's on board. Now the word is Sue Bird is back to lead and direct, and number 1 selection this year goes to the Seattle Storm, and they expect to pick UConn star Breanna Stewart. So pieces are in place for another run for you Storm fans out there. Folks following the Gonzaga Bulldogs, happy to be back home in Spokane for their final 2 West Coast Conference games this week, Thursday night against the University of Pacific, and Saturday night against first place St. Mary's. And that's sports. Carol Gardner has our weather forecast.
It's 47, overcast right now, and we'll see rain showers throughout the day, reaching a high at 54. The rest of the week, more of the same. Rain showers, highs around 50s, overnight lows in the mid 40s or low to mid 40s, and right now it's 47.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
It is 8:41, and just a minute or so, we will go retrieve Seth, rescue him from Jerry. That wasn't nice, was it?
I have no comment.
Okay, all right. I don't even hear any conversation going on. Maybe she abandoned him. Maybe he's out there by himself.
Could be. We'll get him in a minute.
She may have headed for a meeting of some sort. Anyway, Seth Elson from the Pacific Northwest Salmon Enhancement Center over in Belfair is on the air with us today. We got 2 environmental shows. I love it.
I know, it's great.
Yeah, so we'll be joining Seth here in just a moment or 2, and guests tomorrow. Does Drew McEwen in tomorrow?
Yes, he calls in right around the 7:15 mark.
So we'll get his take on the legislative session thus far and what he has planned for the rest of this week and on into the final few days before they swap bills.
Yeah.
Swap, you know.
I mean, there is so much information that you have to pay attention to. Obviously, that's their job. That's what they should be doing. But if you don't read through the whole thing, like Representative Griffey was talking about, you could miss something that somebody throws on at the last minute.
At the last second.
Which
little
I don't think they should be able to do that. But,
I wouldn't think so.
But they do it all the time.
All the time.
I know.
All right, we'll go get Seth and be right back with more Daybreak here on your Tuesday morning.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6, and they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, KMAS.
It is 8:43 here on Daybreak. Dale Hubbard in for Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner. And we want to welcome Seth Nelson into the studio from the Northwest Salmon Center in Belfair. Hi, Seth.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Great.
What's new at the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center?
Well, we're gearing up for the Hood Canal Steelhead project.
All right. Is this a new project for you guys?
This is a project we've been doing for quite a while, since about 2007. So it's a 16-year collaborative study with federal, state, and tribal partners, as well as nonprofits like the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group. And what we're trying to do is to see if we can use hatchery supplementation to save our wild steelhead ones that come through in the winter that we all love here in Hood Canal.
Oh, man. And it's just now, steelhead season is just beginning for the sport fishermen, right?
Yeah, it's been going on for a few months around the state for hatchery steelhead, and we're getting ready to go over to the B run of wild steelhead on the coast and some of our other local rivers.
So there's been a decline of the steelhead population. What's that mostly attributed to?
The decline is can be attributed to numerous factors. So there's issues with predation right now. There's a lot of studies going on to see how the Hood Canal Bridge might be affecting steelhead as they out-migrate.
Really?
To the ocean, yep. So we've got a lot of predation there. We've got the loss of our estuaries around Hood Canal and Puget Sound, and in-stream issues as well. So when that habitat's been lost or degraded over the years, groups like ours are working to restore that, and that affects juvenile survival rates of steelhead. And so there's all sorts of different factors that play into it. But steelhead are definitely down quite a bit from where they've been historically, and are right now threatened under the Endangered Species Act.
So isn't there a difference between hatchery raised and wild, and isn't that sort of a controversy about trying to combine them?
It definitely is, and that's where this project is unique. So in your regular traditional hatchery that would be run by the state or others in the past, fish are generally produced for the only reason basically being production, and so they're fed at a higher rate, and things really aren't kept in line with what would happen in the streams, in the wild.
In nature, yeah.
So what happens with this project is over a certain period of time, we've gone out and we've collected fertilized eggs. So how that's different is, rather than the fish returning to the hatchery and all the eggs being stripped and being fertilized there, spawning takes place in the wild, in the river, and then we go through and collect a certain number of those fertilized eggs. Those are then transported and raised at a hatchery, and those eggs then are raised to mimic natural growth. So rather than these fish being released at, say, a 1-year-old age like they would at a state hatchery, these are held to about 2 years, and some even 4 years as adults, to help produce immediately. And so the end result is that we are able to hopefully retain the wild genetics of these fish, but raise them in a controlled environment. And the hope is that we can get this up to about 80% survival rates from egg to fry.
And what is a natural survival rate for wild steelhead?
About 0.05%.
What?
Yeah, it's very low.
Oh my word!
Yeah. So we've got all these eggs that come out of the fish when they're spawning, but only a very, very small amount actually end up surviving due to numerous
and make the full cycle to come back and respawn.
Exactly. It's very low. And so what we're doing with this project is, aside from the spawning, we then go through and we're monitoring, trying to we capture these fish and identify, get an idea of abundance, and then we actually are sampling them to monitor the genetics and seeing how much that's differing from wild steelhead. And so far, we still have a number of years to go on this project, but right now it's looking good. Like there's a very minimal impact, and it's helping to bolster runs.
So the steelhead that are being raised in the hatchery and in a controlled environment, but are wild.
Yes,
are doing well. They're okay inside the hatchery environment, and that's not impacting their health.
They seem to be okay in that environment, and they're not contributing in any negative way to the wild runs. So it's a way to see if we can try to retain those great genetics that we all want.
So are they the most preyed upon?
One of the most, yeah.
Do you know why?
They taste good.
They taste good, yeah. And they often spend a little bit longer in the stream as well than some of our other species. So, and steelhead, a unique fact is they don't just spawn and die once. Spawn once, they can spawn multiple times, and that sets them aside from different species. So.
Yeah, very important and integral part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Do you seek volunteers to help in this study?
Definitely. Like most of our fish projects, volunteers make it possible. And so, as I said, one of the big things we do is we're monitoring abundance of steelhead as well as trying to get samples to look at the genetics. And so we set up, our group personally, traps on the Tahuya and Dewata rivers near Belfair, as well as the Little Quilcene River up in Quilcene. And so volunteers go out daily with interns or staff, and we count and identify all the fish in our traps, and then we actually take samples of the steelhead to get a better snapshot. And so we're looking for volunteers starting April 1st and running all the way to June 1st.
Wow.
So if you're interested, you can give us a call, 275-3575, or check out our website at pnwsalmoncenter.org.
And then they'll steer them right to where they need to go and who they need to talk to.
Yep, they can learn a little bit more, and my contact info's up there if you want to get involved. We'd love to have some new faces.
So now, okay, a typical day for you guys, besides the count and that sort of thing, I'm a little intrigued. So you say you take a few samples of the steelhead, the literal fish themselves, and bring them back to the Northwest Salmon Center and.
Yep. So we essentially we shock the fish, and we're able to take fin clippings and scale samples.
Okay.
So then those are held, and we're able to then send those off to State Lab in Olympia for analysis.
And that monitors their health.
Yep. It monitors the health, so that we're not taking a fish and its eggs that would not be good in the future on the population, but also again to look at the genetics and we want to constantly monitor that to make sure that the genetics are staying in line or pretty close to what we would want with wild fish.
And when did you start this project?
This project was started in 2007. So a similar effort was led by NOAA on the Hamahama River and prior to 2007, and that was seen as successful. And so this is kind of extrapolating that study to a basin-wide level, and so that's what's going on.
So we're 8 years or so, maybe almost 9 into this project.
Yeah.
And is there any impact yet on the population of steelhead?
It's helping a little bit. There's a number of other conditions in play. The drought certainly didn't help this last year.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We'll be looking to see how that impacts it, but overall it seems to be having some positive indications so far. And we'll be continuing to learn more over the next couple of years. So,
can you touch on the impact of the Elwha Dam being removed and the immediate return of salmon to that stream?
Yeah,
I mean, it was a pretty phenomenal thing. Did you guys expect it to return that quickly like that?
I don't think anybody did. The great thing about salmon is they're really resilient. So as soon as habitats opened up, we find them back really quickly, and it's
knocking on the door.
Yes, and it's been incredible to see what's happened on the Elwha, and that seems to be in line with a lot of restoration projects that have happened over the last few years. For us specifically, we can talk about the Union River estuary in Belfair. We restored that habitat, and within months we saw coho coming in, utilizing the estuary as they start to transition from freshwater to saltwater and to be able to feed and grow big quickly. And so it's just incredible how they come back like clockwork.
That's the feel-good moment for you guys, isn't it, for scientists and researchers?
Definitely. They can be gone for 100+ years, and as soon as you open it up, they're right back there waiting.
So. Are there other estuaries that you guys are hoping to fix?
Yeah, so the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, as well as our other tribal, state, federal partners, we're working in a number of them. So the Skokomish estuary is still continually being restored right now. We've done some work on the Big Quilcene River in Quilcene. We're working on the Duckabush. A number of estuaries are being worked on right now, trying to reconnect floodplains and improve that habitat.
There's a fish hatchery, several-step process going on in connection with Hood Canal Lake Kokanee and Lake Cushman.
Yeah.
And who would be the best agency to talk to regarding, because they're all getting close to finishing up those projects right now. I live there. I see the progress, and they're close to buttoning them up and getting them ready for business, so to speak. What agency would you recommend that we get on the radio about that?
I believe the best would probably be the Skokomish tribe. So the Skokomish tribe, my understanding, is working really closely with some of its federal partners as well as Tacoma Power to make that happen.
Right.
And it's going to be really interesting to see what the result is of all that work.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Pretty fascinating process that they have planned there, and so
very much
exciting.
So. Yeah. The hope, I think, with all of the partners, we're all working together on this, is to see a whole lot more fish coming back to Hood Canal.
It could have a big impact.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And is this just happening in Washington, would you say, or would you say we're leading it, or would you say this is happening?
For the most part, this is kind of really unique to Hood Canal right now. It's seen as, if this can work and it proves successful at the end of the study, as a basin-wide model for recovery in a way that we can still utilize hatcheries, but in a different way. And so, everybody's very anxious to see what are the results going to be, and can this be applied to other systems in, say, Eastern Washington or down in Portland, big river system.
Columbia.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That, and it is it's groundbreaking if this is going to follow the way it started. It sounds like it's going the right direction.
Yeah.
Hatcheries will have their place, but now you can enhance the hatcheries and process and make the species stronger.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, good for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It is a big win. Seth, thank you so much for your visit.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're invited back again.
We'll be here.
I know you will. We appreciate it so much.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Seth Nelson from the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center in Belfair. And of course, you can always get a hold of him at pnwsalmoncenter.org.
Correct.
Right. Okay. We will take a quick pause and put the wraps on our day today. Carol, it's going to be a bittersweet adieu here in just a little while.
For who?
For me. Nothing changes for you. Just the guy sitting next to you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
If you believe that good things come in small packages, this is your month. Our February preview today on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Monday, February 1st, the 32nd day of the year. Lisa Marie Presley celebrates a birthday, and Frank Sinatra was recording his first session with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra on this day in 1940. By the way, he got the job. Our shortest month is not quite so short this year. It's a year divisible by 4, so one more day gets tacked onto February this year. Groundhogs, presidents, and romance all take the spotlight. But don't forget the other worthy observances. It's Black History Month, Wild Bird Feeding Month, and Potato Lovers Month. The flower of February is the violet, and if you were born in February, your birthstone is the amethyst. Wearing one is said to give you courage and prevent insomnia. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. You can always learn more about February online at almanac.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
$8.56.
Smile for the camera, Dale. It's your last time. Well,
bye, everybody.
We might let you come back in once.
Bye, everybody.
It's been 4 days of nonstop fun with you, Dale.
Well, thank you, Carol, and right back at you, hon. Very good. Yeah, no, this was fun. I did like the fact that this morning was my last morning of getting up at 3:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock or whatever it was. It was dark, I can tell you that.
Yes.
So it is, and part of this whole process is because it's hard on a body to not do it consistently. Once you get into the rhythm, it's not so bad. But when you just do it every once in a while, and so I had all these months, January, all of the month of January, I never really had to get up early, but I still couldn't go to bed late and sleep in.
Right.
I just kind of got to that point in time, and then Jeff took off. So we'll see how disruptive that is. I got to prepare for a extended trip tomorrow.
Mhm.
I got to do that preparation tonight. So I'll be a little bit late.
The passes will be okay, but when I was subbing for you or Jeff once in a while,
Yeah.
it's a weird. You get so exhausted because you're just so unused to that
Later in the
weird
day
time. Yeah,
is when it hits you. You know, you're okay. You get up in the morning and whatever. You only got 3 or 4 hours sleep. You're up and you're and the show juices you. And then after the show lights fade,
right,
and you're about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you've had lunch, and you're going like, "Oh man, I am tired."
Your body's like, "Why are you getting up when it's still dark?" That's not how we do it.
Don't forget, we got a meeting at 3:30, and we're supposed to go over to at 5:30 tonight. And I'm like, oh, yikes! So we don't want to do that. All right, but the show goes on.
The show goes on
Tomorrow
we have Representative Drew McEwen,
and then
Port of Call are regular Wednesdays, and then Thursday we're going to have Jeannie Raywalt from WSU Master Gardeners. She'll be talking about the fruit trees, planting, pruning, and care. They're having they have garden gate classes every 2 weeks.
Yes,
and that's here in Shelton at the Memorial Hall.
Trees.
Oh, well, you should definitely go to this one.
Yeah.
We'll get the notes from her.
It was a big topic of conversation when they were trying to get those starts from those old apple
pear
orchard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Thursday.
That's going to be on Thursday. And then we'll have our Dr. Alex Apostle on Friday. He comes in and he talks all about school, interesting stuff. We had Jim Jetson last week, who was giving us all sorts of athletic stuff. And then Dr. Apostle will talk a little more about.
I'll bet you get a visit from Sean on Thursday, too. He'll be jacked up and ready to talk about the big wrestling.
Yes, our sports director for iFIBER ONE Newsradio. He will be in to talk about everything that's going on and everything that's going to go on.
Yeah. So not to get lost in all this, so it's Matt Classic this weekend. Still a lot of teams that are in the region that are playing for state berths in the state basketball tournaments around the state. And it's just an exciting time of year.
It is.
And then as Mr. Jetson had pointed out last week, spring sports are just around the corner.
They are.
So, all right, Carol, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
We'll see y'all soon. 9 o'clock, and Dave Ramsey and Tom Hartman are on the way next on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.